Hello and welcome as Zenith Players presents our 40th week of live readings and our first reading of 2021, Henry VI, Part 2. All of the actors you will be hearing tonight are volunteering their time and their talents from their homes to bring a little bit of entertainment into your homes. We want to thank them all very much for joining us. We'd also like to thank our friend, Your Friendly Neighborhood Shakespeare, for hosting this on his pages. Check out his website at shakespeareapproves.com. His Patreon at patreon.com/Shakespeare. You can find out more about him at his aforementioned website or by visiting his Facebook page, Shakespeare Approves, Your Friendly Neighborhood Shakespeare. We'll have links to visit him as well as some of our other performer friends in the comments of this video, as in all of our videos. We always want to acknowledge and thank all the medical professionals and essential workers who've been working to keep us all as healthy and safe as possible. We also want to acknowledge those anyone still continuing to demonstrate and protest for bravely pushing forward the simple fact that Black Lives Matter. If you're interested in more information about our totally volunteer organization, you can check out our website, zenithplayers.com. Feel very free to check out our very attractive donations page. 100% of all donations go towards production costs, which these days consist of the various subscriptions that allow for these readings to happen. If you'd like to read with us in future projects, just send us an email at casting@zenithplayers.com and we will get you on board. You can join us next Saturday for Ibsen's Hedda Gabler, and you can right now relax and enjoy Steve Anderson, Patrick Brockway, Claire Bohanec, Will DeJaney, Russell Slater, Paula K. Long, Aaron Klarner, Andrew Gellos, Debbie Lockwood, Shakira Searle, Mike DeBlee, Mira Singer, Bill Nutt, Noah Stanzione, Andrea DeRiso, Titania Lovett-Spence, Andrea Atwood, Davian X. Arroyo, Brian J. Applegate, and Matthew Kisher as King Henry VI. Part 2, Act 1, Scene 1. Enter King Henry, Duke Humphrey of Gloucester, Salisbury, Warwick, and Cardinal Beaufort on one side, Queen Margaret, Suffolk, York, Somerset, and Buckingham on the other.
As by your high imperial majesty, I had in charge at my depart for France, as procurator to your excellence, to marry Princess Margaret for your grace. So in the famous city, ancient Tours, in presence of the kings of France and Sicily, the Duke of Orleans, Calabar, Bretagne, and Alençon, 7 earls, 12 barons, and 20 reverend bishops, I have performed my task and was espoused. And humbly now, upon my bended knee, in sight of England and her lordly peers, deliver up my title in the Queen to your most gracious hands, that are the substance of the great shadow I did represent, the happiest gift that ever marquis gave, the fairest queen that ever king received.
Suffolk, arise. Welcome, Queen Margaret. I can express no kinder sign of love than this kind kiss. O Lord, that lends me life, lend me a heart replete with thankfulness, for thou hast given me in this beauteous face a world of earthly blessings to my soul, if sympathy of love unite our thoughts.
Great King of England and my gracious Lord, the mutual conference that my mind hath had by day, by night, waking and in my dreams, in courtly company or at my beads, with you, mine altar-feast sovereign, make me the bolder to salute my king with ruder terms, such as my wit affords, and overjoy of heart doth minister.
Her sigh did ravish, but her grace in speech. Her words, ye lad, with wisdom's majesty, make me from wondering fall to weeping joys, such as the fullness of my heart's content. Lords, with one cheerful voice, welcome my love.
Long live Queen Margaret.
Margaret, England's happiness.
England.
We thank you all.
My Lord Protector, so it please your grace, here are the articles of contracted peace between our sovereigns and the French King Charles, for 18 months concluded by consent.
Imprimis, it is agreed between the French King Charles and William de Pole, Marquis of Suffolk, Ambassador for Henry, King of England, that the said Henry shall espouse the Lady Margaret, daughter unto Regnier, King of Naples, Sicilia, and Jerusalem, and crown her Queen of England ere the 30th of May next ensuing. Item, that the Duchy of Anjou and the County of Maine shall be released and delivered to the King her father.
Uncle, how now?
Pardon me, my gracious lord. Some sudden qualm hath struck me at the heart and dimmed mine eyes. I can read no further.
Uncle of Winchester, I pray, read on.
Item, it is further agreed between them that the duchies of Anjou and Maine shall be released and delivered to the king her father, and she sent over of the King of England's own proper cost and charges, without having any dowry.
They please us well. Lord Marquis, kneel down. We here create thee the first Duke of Suffolk, and girt thee with the sword, cousin of York. We here discourage your grace from being regent in the parts of France till term of 18 months be full expired. Thanks, Uncle Winchester, Gloucester, York, Buckingham, Somerset, Salisbury, and Warwick. We thank you all for this great favor done in entertainment to my princely queen. Come, let us in, and with all speed provide to her her coronation be performed.
King, Queen, and Suffolk exit.
Brave peers of England, pillars of the state, to you, Duke Humphrey must unload his grief, your grief, the common grief of all the land. What? Did my brother Henry spend his youth, his valor, coin, and people in the wars? Did he so often lodge in open field, in winter's cold and summer's parching heat, to conquer France, his true inheritance? And did my brother Bedford toil his wits to keep by policy what Henry got? Have you yourselves, Somerset, Buckingham, brave York, Salisbury, victorious Warwick, received deep scars in France and Normandy? Or hath mine uncle Beaufort and myself, with all the learned counsel of the realm, studied so long, sat in the council house early and late, debating to and fro how France and Frenchmen might be kept in awe, and had his highness in his infancy crowned in Paris in despite of foes? And shall these labors and these honors die? Shall Henry's conquest, Bedford's vigilance, your deeds of war, and all our counsel die? Oh, peers of England, shameful is this league, fatal this marriage, cancelling your fame, blotting your names from books of memory, raising the characters of your renown, defacing monuments of conquered France, undoing all as all had never been.
Nephew, what means this passionate discourse, this peroration with such circumstance? For France, 'tis ours, and we will keep it still.
Aye, uncle, we will keep it if we can, but now it is impossible we should. Suffolk, the new-made duke that rules the roast, hath given the duchy of Anjou and Maine unto the poor King Regnier, whose large style agrees not with the leanness of his purse.
Now, by the death of him that died for all, these counties were keys of Normandy. But wherefore reaps Wart, my valiant son?
Grief that they are past recovery. Were there hope to conquer them again, my sword should shed hot blood, mine eyes no tears. Anjou and Maine, myself did win them both. Those provinces these arms of mine did conquer, and are the cities that I got with wounds delivered up again with peaceful words? Mordieu!
Suffolk's Duke, may he be suffocate that dims the honour of this warlike isle. France should have torn and rent my very heart before I would have yielded to this league. I never read, but English kings have had large sums of gold and dowries with their wives, and our King Henry gives away his own to match with her. That brings no vantages.
Proper jest, I never heard before, that Suffolk should demand a whole 15th for costs and charges in transporting her? She should have stayed in France and starved in France before.
My lord of Gloucester, now you grow too hot. It was the pleasure of my lord the king.
My lord of Winchester, I know your mind. 'Tis not my speeches that you do mislike, but 'tis my presence that doth trouble you. Rancor will out. Proud prelate, in thy face I see thy fury. If I longer stay, we shall begin our ancient bickerings. Lordings, farewell. And say when I am gone, I prophesied France will be lost ere long.
So, there goes our protector in a rage. 'Tis known to you he is mine enemy, nay more, an enemy unto you all, and no great friend, I fear me, to the king. Consider, lords, he is the next of blood and heir, apparent to the English crown. Had Henry got an empire by his marriage and all the wealthy kingdoms of the West, there's reason he should be displeased at it. Look to it, lords. Let not his smoothing words bewitch your hearts. Be wise and circumspect. What though the common people favor him, calling him Humphrey, the good Duke of Gloucester, clapping their hands and crying with loud voice, Jesu maintain your royal excellence, with God preserve the good Duke Humphrey. I fear me, lords, for all this flattering gloss, he will be found a dangerous protector.
Why should he then protect our sovereign, he being of age to govern of himself? Cousin of Somerset, join you with me, and all together with the Duke of Suffolk will quickly hoist Duke Humphrey from his seat.
This weighty business will not brook delay. I'll to the Duke of Suffolk presently.
Cousin of Buckingham, though Humphrey's pride and greatness of his place be grief to us, yet let us watch the haughty cardinal. His insolence is more intolerable than all the princes in the land besides. If Gloucester be displaced, he'll be protector.
Or thou, or I, Somerset, will be protector, despite Duke Humphrey or the cardinal.
Pride went before, ambition follows him. While these do labor for their own preferment, behooves us to labor for the realm. I never saw but Humphrey, Duke of Gloucester, did bear him like a noble gentleman. Oft have I seen the haughty cardinal, more like a soldier than a man or the church. As the stout and proud as he were lord of all, swore like a ruffian and deemed himself unlike a ruler of the commonweal. Warwick, my son, the comfort of my age, these deeds, the plainness of the house and thy housekeeping, hath won the greatness favor of the commons, expecting none but the Duke of Humphrey and brother York, thy acts in Ireland, in bringing the civil discipline, thy late exploits done the heart of France, when thou were regent for our sovereign, have made, feared, honored the people, have joined together for public good, in what we can bridle and suppress the pride of Suffolk and the cardinal, with Somerset's and Buckingham's ambition, and as we may cherish Duke Humphrey's deeds, while they do tend to profit of the land.
So God help Warwick, as he loves the land and common profit of his country.
So says York, for he hath the greatest cause.
Then let's make haste away and look unto the Main.
Unto the Main? Oh, father, Maine is lost. That Maine which by main force Warwick did win and would have kept so long his breath did last. Main chance, father, you meant, but I meant Maine, which I will win from France or else be slain.
And you and Maine are given to the French. Paris is lost. The state of Normandy stands on a tickle point now they are gone. Suffolk concluded on the articles. The peers agreed, and Henry was well pleased to change 2 dukedoms for a duke's fair daughter. I cannot blame them all. What is it to them? 'Tis thine they give away, and not their own. Pirates may make cheap pennyworths of their pillage, and purchased friends and give to courtesans, like still reveling like lords till all be gone. Whereas the silly owner of the goods weeps over them, wrings his hapless hands and shakes his head, and trembling stands aloof, while all is shared, and all is borne away ready to starve and dare not touch his own. So York must sit and fret and bite his tongue while his own lands are bargained for and sold. Methinks the realms of England, France, and Ireland bear that proportion to my flesh and blood as did the fatal brand Althenia burnt unto the prince's heart of Clyden. Anjou and Maine both given to the French? Cold news for me, for I had hope of France, even as I have of fertile England's soil. A day will come when York shall claim his own, and therefore I will take the Neville's parts and make a show of love to proud Duke Humphrey. And when I spy advantage, claim the crown, for that's the golden mark I seek to hit. Nor shall proud Lancaster usurp my right, nor hold the sceptre in his childish fist, nor wear the diadem upon his head, whose church-like humours fits not for the crown. Then York, be still a while till time does serve. Watch thou and wake, when others be asleep, to pry into the secrets of the state, till Henry, surfeiting in joys of love with his new bride and England's dear-bought queen, and Humphrey with the peers be fallen at jars. Then will I raise aloft the milk-white rose, and with those sweet smell the air shall be perfumed, and in my standard bear the arms of York, to grapple with the house of Lancaster. And force perforce I'll make him yield the crown, whose bookish rule have pulled fair England down.
He exits. Act 1, Scene 2. Enter Duke Humphrey of Gloucester with his wife, the Duchess Eleanor.
Why droops, my lord, like over-ripened corn, hanging the head at Ceres' plenteous load? Why doth the great Duke Humphrey knit his brows, as frowning at the favors of the world? Why are thine eyes fixed to the sullen earth, gazing on that which seems to dim thy sight? What seest thou there? King Henry's diadem, enchased with all the honors of the world? If so, gaze on and grovel on thy face until thy head be circled with the same. Put forth thy hand, reach at the glorious gold. What is too short? I'll lengthen it with mine, and having both together heaved it up, we'll both together live our hands to heaven, and never more abuse our sight so low as to vouchsafe one glance upon the ground.
Oh, Nell, sweet Nell, if thou dost love thy lord, banish the canker of ambitious thoughts. And may that hour, when I imagine ill against my king and nephew, virtuous Henry, be my last breathing in this mortal world. My troublous dreams this night doth make me sad.
What dreamed, my lord? Tell me, and I'll requite it with sweet rehearsal of my morning's dream.
Methought this staff, mine office badge in court, was broke in twain. By whom I have forgot, but as I think it was by the cardinal. And on the pieces of the broken wand were placed the heads of Edmund, Duke of Somerset, and William de la Pole, first Duke of Suffolk. This was my dream. What it doth bode, God knows.
Tut, this was nothing but an argument that he that breaks a stick of Gloucester's grove shall lose his head for his presumption. But list to me, my Humphrey, my sweet Duke. Methought I sat in seat of majesty in the Cathedral Church of Westminster, and in that chair when queens and kings were crowned, where Henry and Dame Margaret kneeled to me, and on my head did set the diadem.
Nay, Eleanor, then must I chide outright. Presumptuous dame, ill-nurtured Eleanor, art thou not second woman in the realm, and the Protector's wife, beloved of him? Hast thou not worldly pleasure at the command, above the reach or compass of thy thought? How wilt thou still be hammering treachery to tumble down thy husband and thyself from top of honor to disgrace's feet? Away from me, and let me hear no more.
What? What, my lord? Are you so choleric with Eleanor for telling but her dream? Next time I'll keep my dreams into myself and not be checked.
Nay, be not angry. I am pleased again.
Enter a messenger.
My Lord Protector, it is His Highness' pleasure you do prepare to ride unto St. Albans, whereas the King and Queen do mean to hawk.
I go. Come now, thou wilt ride with us?
Yes, my good lord. I'll follow presently. Follow I must. I cannot go before while Gloucester hears this base and humble mind. Were I a man, a duke, and next of blood, I would remove these tedious stumbling blocks and smooth my way upon their headless necks. And being a woman, I will not be slack to play my part in fortune's pageant. Where are you there? Sir John? Nay, fear not, man, we are alone. Here's none but thee and I.
Enter Sir John Hume.
Jesus preserve your royal majesty.
What sayst thou, majesty? I am but Grace.
But by the grace of God and Hume's advice, your grace's title shall be multiplied.
What sayst thou, man? Hast thou as yet conferred with Marjorie Jordan, the cunning witch, with Roger Bolingbroke, the conjurer, and will they undertake to do me good?
This they have promised, to show your highness a spirit raised from depth of underground that shall make answer to such questions as by your grace shall be propounded him.
It is enough. I'll think upon the questions when from St. Albans we do make return. We'll see these things effected to the full. Here, Hume, take this reward. Make merry, man, with thy confederates in this weighty cause.
The Duchess exits.
Hume must make merry with the Duchess's gold. Marry and shall. But how now, Sir John Hume? Seal up your lips and give no words but mum. The business asketh secret silence. Dame Eleanor gives gold to bring the witch. Gold cannot come amiss were she a devil. Yet have I gold flies from another coast. I dare not say from the rich cardinal and from the great and new-made Duke of Suffolk, yet I do find it so. For, to be plain, they, knowing Dame Eleanor's aspiring humor, have hired me to undermine the Duchess and buzz these conjurations in her brain. They say a crafty knave does need no broker, yet am I Suffolk and the Cardinal's broker. Hume, if you do not take heed, you shall go near to call them both a pair of crafty knaves. Well, so it stands, and thus I fear at last Hume's knavery will be the Duchess's rack, and her attainature will be Humphrey's fall. Sort how it will, I shall have gold for all.
He exits. Act 1, Scene 3. Enter 3 or 4 petitioners, Peter the armorer's man being one.
My masters, let's stand close. My Lord Protector will come this way by and by, and then we may deliver our supplications in the quill.
Marry, the Lord protect him, for he's a good man. Jesu bless him.
Oh, here he comes, methinks, and the Queen with him. I'll be the first, sure.
Come back, fool. This is the Duke of Suffolk and not my Lord Protector.
How now, fellow? What's anything with me?
I pray, my lord, pardon me. I took you for my Lord Protector. Mine is, and it please your grace, against John Goodman, my Lord Cardinal's man, for keeping my house, my lands, and my wife, and all from me.
Thy wife, too? That's some wrong indeed. What's yours? What's here? Against the Duke of Suffolk for enclosing the commons of Milfold. How now, Sir Knave?
Alas, sir, I am but a poor petitioner of our old township.
Against my master, Thomas Horner, for saying the Duke of York was rightful heir to the crown.
What sayest thou? Did the Duke of York say he was rightful heir to the crown?
That my master was? No, forsooth. My master said that he was, and that the king was an usurper.
Who is there? Take this fellow in and send for his master with a pursuivant presently. We'll hear more of your matter before the king.
And as for you that love to be protected, under the wings of our protector's grace, begin your suits anew and sue to him. Away, base Cully and Suffolk, let them go.
Let's be gone.
Let's go.
My lord of Suffolk, say, is this the guise, is this the fashions in the court of England? Is this the government of Britain's Isle? And is this the royalty of Albion's king? What, shall King Henry be a pupil still under the surly Gloucester's governess? Am I a queen in title and in style, and must be made a subject to a duke? I tell thee, Pole, when the city tours, thou ranst tilt in honor of my love, and stolest away the ladies' hearts of France. I thought King Henry had resembled thee in courage, courtship, and in proportion. But all his mind is bent to holiness, to number Ave Marys on his beads. His champions are prophets and apostles. His weapons, holy saws of sacred wit. His study is his tilt yard, and his loves are brazen images of canonized saints. I would the College of the Cardinals would choose him pope and carry him to Rome and set the triple crown upon his head, that were a state fit for his holiness.
Madam, be patient. As I was cause your holiness came to England, so will I in England work your grace's full content.
Besides the haughty protector, have we Beaufort, the imperious churchmen, Somerset, Buckingham, and grumbling York, and not the least of these, but can do more in England than the king.
And he of these that can do most of all cannot do more in England than the Nevilles. Salisbury and Warwick are no simple peers.
Not all these lords do vex me half so much as that proud dame, the Lord Protector's wife. She sweeps it through the court with troops of ladies, more like an empress than Duke Humphrey's wife. Strangers in court do take her for the queen. She bears the duke's revenues on her back, and in her heart she scorns our poverty. Shall I not live to be avenged on her? Contemptuous, base-born callet as she is, she vaunted mongst these minions the other day, the very train of her worst wearing gown was better worth than all my father's lands, till Suffolk gave 2 dukedoms for his daughter.
Madam, myself have limed a bush for her, and placed a choir of such enticing birds that she will like to listen to the lays, and never mount to trouble you again. So let her rest. And madam, list to me, for I am bold to counsel you in this. Although we fancy not the cardinal, yet must we join with him and with the lords till we have brought Duke Humphrey in disgrace. As for the Duke of York, this late complaint will make but little for his benefit, so one by one we'll weed them all at last, and you yourself shall steer the happy helm.
And to the king, Duke Humphrey of Gloucester, the cardinal, Somerset wearing red roses, Buckingham, Salisbury, York, and Warwick both wearing the White Rose, and the Duchess of Gloucester.
For my part, noble lords, I care not which, or Somerset or York, all's one to me.
York hath ill demeaned himself in France, then let him be denied the regentship.
If Somerset be unworthy of the place, let York be regent, I will yield to him.
Whether your grace be worthy, yea or no, dispute not that. York is the worthier.
Ambitious Warwick, let thy betters speak.
The cardinal's not my better in the field.
All in this presence are thy betters, Warwick.
Warwick may live to be the best of all.
Because the king's, forsooth, will have it so.
Madam, the king is old enough himself to give his censure. These are no women's matters.
If he be old enough, what needs your grace to be protector of his excellence?
Madam, I am protector of the realm, and at his pleasure will resign my place.
Resign it then, and leave thine insolence, since thou wert king, as who is king but thou? The Commonwealth hath daily run to wrack, the Dauphin hath prevailed beyond the seas, and all the peers and nobles of the realm have been as bondmen to thy sovereignty.
The commons hast thou racked. The clergy's bags are lank and lean with thy extortions.
Thy sumptuous buildings and thy wife's attire have cost a mass of public treasury.
Thy cruelty in execution upon offenders hath exceeded law, and left thee to the mercy of the law.
Thy sale of offices and towns in France, if they were known, as suspect is great, would make thee quickly hop without thy head. Give me my fan. What, minion, can you not? I cry you mercy, madam, was it you?
Was't I? Yea, I it was, proud Frenchwoman. Could I come near your beauty with my nails, I'd set my 10 commandments with your face.
Sweet aunt, be quiet. 'Twas against her will.
Against her will, good king. Look to it in time. She'll hamper thee and dandle thee like a baby. Though in this place most master wear no breeches, she shall not strike Dame Eleanor unrevenged.
Lord Cardinal, I will follow Eleanor and listen after Humphrey how he proceeds. She's tickled now. Her fume needs no spurs. She'll gallop far enough to her destruction.
Now, lords, my collar being overblown with walking once about the quadrangle, I come to talk of Commonwealth affairs. As for your spiteful false objections, prove them, and I lie open to the law. God in mercy so deal with my soul as I in duty love my king and country. But to the matter that we have in hand, I say, my sovereign, York is meetest man to be your regent in the realm of France.
Before we make election, give me leave to show some reason or of no little force that York is most unmeet of any man.
I'll tell thee, Suffolk, why I am unmeet. First, for I cannot flatter thee in pride. Next, if I be appointed for the place, my lord of Somerset will keep me here without discharge, money, or furniture till France be won unto the Dauphin's hands. Last time I danced attendance on his will till Paris was besieged, famished, and lost.
That can I witness, and a fouler fact did never traitor in the land commit.
Peace, headstrong Warwick.
Image of pride, why should I hold my peace?
Because here is a man accused of treason. Pray God the Duke of York excuse himself.
Does anyone accuse York for a traitor?
What meanest thou, Suffolk? Tell me what are these?
Please it your majesty, this is the man that doth accuse his master of high treason. His words were these, that Richard, Duke of York, was rightful heir unto the English crown, and that your majesty was an usurper.
Say, man, were these thy words?
Please, your majesty, I never said nor thought any such matter. God is my witness, I am falsely accused by the villain.
By these 10 bones, my lord, he did speak them to me in the garret one night, as we were scouring my lord of York's armour.
Base, dunghill, villain, and mechanical. I'll have thy head for this traitor's speech. I do beseech your royal majesty. Let him have all the rigour of the law.
Alas, my lord, hang me if I ever spoke the words. My accuser is my penance, and when I did correct him for his fault the other day, he did vow upon his knees he would be even with me. I have good witness of this. Therefore, I beseech your majesty, do not cast away an honest man for a villain's accusation.
Uncle, what shall we say to this in law?
This doom, my lord, if I may judge. Let Somerset be regent o'er the French, because in York this breeds suspicion. And these have a day appointed them for single combat in convenient place, for he hath witness of his servant's malice. This is the law, and this Duke Humphrey's doom.
I humbly thank your royal majesty.
And I accept the combat willingly.
Alas, my lord, I cannot fight. For God's sake, pity my case. The spite of man prevaileth against me. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. I shall never be able to fight a blow. Oh, Lord, my heart.
Sirrah, or you must fight, or else be hanged.
Away with them to prison, and the day of combat shall be the last of the next month. Come, Somerset, we'll see thee sent away.
Act 1, Scene 4. Enter the witch, Marjorie Jourdain, the 2 priests, Hume and Southwell, and Bolingbroke, a conjurer.
Come, my masters. The Duchess, I tell you, expects performance of your promises.
Master Hume, we are therefore provided. Will her ladyship behold and hear our exorcisms?
Aye, what else? Fear you not her courage.
I have heard her reported to be a woman of an invincible spirit. But it shall be convenient, Master Hume, that you be by her aloft while we be busy below. And so I pray you, go in God's name and leave us. Mother Jordan, be you prostrate and grovel on the earth. John Southwell, read you and let us to our work.
Well said, my masters, and welcome all. To this gear, the sooner the better.
Patience, good lady. Wizards know their times. Deep night, dark night, the silent of the night, the time of night when Troy was set on fire, the time when screech owls cry and band dogs howl, and spirits walk and ghosts break up their graves. That time best fits the work we have in hand. Madam, sit you and fear not. Whom we raise, we will make fast within a hollowed verge.
Here they do ceremonies and make a circle. Bolingbroke and Southwell reads the spell, thunders and lightnings terribly, and then the spirit rises.
Ad sum.
Asmaf, by the eternal God, whose name and power thou tremblest at, answer that I shall ask, for till thou speak, thou shalt not pass from hence.
Ask what thou wilt.
First to the king, what shall of him become?
The Duke yet lives that Henry shall depose, but him outlive and die a violent death.
What fates await the Duke of Suffolk?
By water shall he die and take his end.
What shall befall the Duke of Somerset?
Let him shun castles. Safer shall he be upon the sandy plains than where castles mounted stand. Have done, for more I hardly can endure.
Descend to darkness and the burning lake. False fiend, avoid.
The spirit exits. Enter the Duke of York and the Duke of Buckingham with their guard and Sir Humphrey Stafford, and they break in.
Lay hands upon these traitors and their trash.
They arrest Marjorie Jourdain and her accomplices and seize their papers.
Bedlam, I think we watched you at an inch. What, madam? Are you there? The king and commonweal are deeply embedded for this piece of pains. My Lord Protector will, I doubt it not, see you well guerdoned for these good deserts.
Not half so bad as thine to England's king, injurious duke that threats when there's no cause.
True, madam, none at all. What call you this? Away with them. Let them be clapped up close and kept asunder. You, madam, shall with us. Stafford, take her to thee. We'll see your trinkets here all forthcoming. All away.
Jourdain, Southwell, and Bolingbroke exit under guard. The Duchess and Hume exit under guard as well.
Lord Buckingham, methink you watched her well. A pretty plot, well chosen to build upon. Now pray, my lord, let's see the devil's writ. What have we here? The Duke yet lives that Henry shall depose, but him outlive and die a violent death? Why, this is just Aote, Asadia, Romanus Vinciende Pose. Well, to the rest. Tell me what fates awaits the Duke of Suffolk. By water he shall die and take his end. What shall betide the Duke of Somerset? Let him shun castles. Suffer shall he be upon the sandy plains, then where castles melted stand. Come, come, my lord. These oracles are hardly attained and hardly understood. The king is now in progress towards St. Albans. With him the husband of this lovely lady. Thither goes that news as fast as horse can carry them. Sorry breakfast for my Lord Protector.
Your grace shall give me leave, my lord of York, to be the post in hope of his reward.
At your pleasure, my good lord.
Buckingham exits.
Who's within there? Ho!
A servingman enters.
Invite my lords of Salisbury and Warwick to sup with me tomorrow night. Away.
They exit. End of Act 1. Act 2, Scene 1. Enter King Henry, Queen Margaret, Gloucester the Lord Protector, the Cardinal and Suffolk and attendants with falconers hallowing.
Leave me, lords, for flying at the brook. I saw not better sport these 7 years' day. Yet by your leave, the wind was very high, and 10 to 1 old Joan had not gone out.
What a point, my lord, your falcon made, and what a pitch she flew above the rest, to see how God in all his creatures works. Yea, man and birds are fain of climbing high.
No marvel, and it like your majesty. My Lord Protector's hawks do tower so well. They know their master loves to be aloft, and bears his thoughts above his falcon's pitch.
My lord, 'tis but a base, ignoble mind that mounts no higher than a bird can soar.
I thought as much. He would be above the clouds.
Aye, my lord cardinal, how think you by that? Were it not good your grace could fly to heaven?
The treasury of everlasting joy.
Thy heaven is on earth. Thine eyes and thoughts beat on a crown, the treasure of thy heart. Pernicious protector, dangerous peer, that smooths it so with king and commonweal.
What, cardinal, is your priesthood grown peremptory? Tontine animis caelesi beri, churchmen so hot. Good uncle, hide such malice. With such holiness, can you do it?
No malice, sir, no more than well becomes so good a quarrel and so bad a peer.
As who, my lord?
Why, as you, my lord, and like your lordly Lord Protectorship.
Why, Suffolk, England knows thine insolence.
And thy ambition, Gloucester.
I pray thee peace, good queen, and wet not on these furious peers, for blessed are the peacemakers on earth.
Let me be blessed for the peace I make against this proud protector with my sword.
Faith, holy uncle, would it were come to that.
Marry when thou darest.
Make up no factious numbers for the matter. In thine own person answer thy abuse.
Ay, where thou darest not peep, and if thou darest this evening on the east side of the grove.
How now, my lords?
Believe me, cousin Gloucester, had not your man put up the fowl so suddenly, we had had more sport. Come with thy two-hand sword.
True, uncle. Are you advised? The east side of the grove.
I am with you.
Why, how now, Uncle Gloucester?
Talking of hawking, nothing else, my lord. No, by God's mother, priest, I shall shave your crown for this, or all my fence shall fail.
Medice te ipsum, protector, see to't well, protect yourself.
Winds grow so high, so do your stomachs, lords. How irksome is this music to my heart, when such strings jar what hope of harmony. I pray, my lords, let me compound this strife.
Enter a man from St. Albans.
A miracle! A miracle!
What means this noise? Fellow, what miracle dost thou proclaim?
A miracle! A miracle!
Come to the king and tell him what miracle.
Forsooth, a blind man at St. Albans shrine within this half hour hath received his sight, a man that ne'er saw in his life before.
Now, God be praised, that to believing souls gives light in darkness, comfort in despair.
Enter the mayor of St. Albans and his brethren, bearing the man Simcox between two in a chair, followed by his wife and others.
Here comes the townsman on procession to present your highness with the man.
Great is his comfort in the early vale, although by his sight his sin be multiplied.
Stand by, my masters. Bring him near the king. His highness' pleasure is to talk with him.
Good fellow, tell us here the circumstance, that we for thee may glorify the Lord. What, hast thou been long blind and now restored?
Born blind, and please your grace.
Aye, indeed was he.
What woman is this?
His wife, and like your lordship.
Hadst thou been his mother, thou couldst have better told.
Where wert thou born?
At Berwick in the north, and like your grace.
Poor soul, God's goodness hath been great to thee. Let never day nor night unhallowed pass, but still remember what the Lord hath done.
Tell me, good fellow, camest thou here by chance, or of devotion to this holy shrine?
Oh, God knows of pure devotion, being called 100 times, and oftener in my sleep, by good St. Alban, who said, Simon, come, offer at my shrine, and I will help thee.
Most true, forsooth, and many times, and oft myself have heard a voice to call him so.
What? Art thou lame?
Ah, God almighty help me.
How camest thou so?
I fall off of a tree.
A plum tree, master.
How long hast thou been blind?
Born so, master.
What, and wouldst climb a tree?
Well, that in all my life when I was a youth.
Too true, and bought his climbing very dear.
Mas, thou lovest plums well that would venture so.
Alas, good master, my wife desired some damsons and made me climb with danger of me life.
A subtle knave, but yet it shall not serve. Let me see thine eyes. Wink now. Now open them. In my opinion, yet thou seest not well.
Oh, yes, master, clear as day, I thank God and St. Alban.
Say'st thou me so? What colour is this cloak made of?
Red, master, red as blood.
Why, that's well said. What colour is my gown of?
Black, forsooth, coal black as jet.
Why then, thou knowest what colored jet is of?
And yet I think jet did he never see.
But cloaks and gowns before this day many.
Never to before this day in all his life.
Tell me, sirrah, what's my name?
Alas, master, I know not.
What's his name?
I know not.
Nor his?
No, indeed, master.
What's thine own name?
Sander Simcox, if it please you, master.
Then, Sander, sit there, the lyingest knave in Christendom. If thou hadst been born blind, thou mightst as well have known all our names, as thus to name the several colours we do wear. Sight may distinguish colours, but suddenly to nominate them all, it is impossible. My lords, St. Alban here hath done a miracle, and would you not think his cunning to be great, that could restore the cripple to his legs again?
Oh, master, that you could.
My masters of St. Albans, have you not beadles in your town, and things called whips?
Yes, my lord, if it please your grace.
Then send for one presently.
Sirrah, go fetch the beadle hither straight.
Now, fetch me a stool hither by and by. Now, sirrah, if you mean to save yourself from whipping, leap me over this stool and run away.
Alas, master, I am not able to stand alone. You go about to torture me in vain.
Well, sir, we must have you find your legs. Sirrah Beadle, whip him till he leap over that same stool.
I will, my lord. Come on, sirrah, off with your doublet quickly.
Alas, master, what shall I do? I am not able to stand.
Oh God, seest thou this embarrassed so long?
It made me laugh to see the villain run.
Follow the knave, and take this drab away.
Alas, sir, we did it for pure need.
Let them be whipped through every market town till they come to Berwick from whence they came.
Beadle, mayor, wife, and the others from St. Albans exit.
Duke Humphrey has done a miracle today.
True, made the lame to leap and fly away.
Oh, but you have done more miracles than I. You made in a day, my lord, whole towns to fly.
What tidings with our cousin, Buckingham?
Such as my heart doth tremble to unfold, a sort of naughty persons, lewdly bent under the countenance and confederacy of Lady Eleanor, the protector's wife, the ringleader and head of all this rout, have practiced dangerously against your state, dealing with witches and with conjurers, whom we have apprehended in the fact, raising up wicked spirits from under the ground, demanding of King Henry's life and death, and other of your highness privy council, as more at large your grace shall understand.
And so, my lord protector, by this means your lady is forthcoming yet at London. This news, I think, hath turned your weapon's edge. 'Tis like, my lord, you will not keep your hour.
Ambitious churchman, leave to afflict my heart. Sorrow and grief have vanquished all my powers. Vanquished as I am, I yield to thee or to the meanest groom.
Oh God, what mischiefs work the wicked ones, heaping confusion on their own heads thereby.
Gloucester, see here the tainture of thy nest, and look thyself be faultless, that were best.
Madam, for myself, to heaven I do appeal, how I have loved my king and commonweal. And for my wife, I know not how it stands. Sorry I am to hear what I have heard, noble she is. But if she have forgot honor and virtue, and conversed with such as like to pitch defile nobility, I banish her my bed and company, and give her as a prey to law and shame that hath dishonored Gloucester's honest name.
Well, for this night, we will repose us here. Tomorrow toward London back again, to look into this business thoroughly and call these fool offenders to their answers, and poise the cause and justice equal scales, whose beam stands sure, whose rightful cause prevails.
They exit. Act 2, Scene 2. Enter York, Salisbury, and Warwick.
Now, my good lords of Salisbury and Warwick, our simple supper ended, give me leave in this close walk to satisfy myself in craving your opinion on my title, which is infallible to England's crown.
My lord, I long to hear it full.
Sweet York, begin. And if thy claim be good, the Nevilles are thy subjects to command.
Then thus, Edward III, my lords, had 7 sons. The first, Edward the Black Prince, Prince of Wales. The second, William of Hertford. And the third, Lionel, Duke of Clarence. Next to whom was John of Gaunt, the Duke of Lancaster. The fifth was Edmund Langley, Duke of York. The sixth was Thomas Woodstock, Duke of Gloucester. William of Windsor was the 7th and last. Edward, the Black Prince, died before his father and left behind him Richard, his only son, who, after Edward III's death, reigned as king, till Henry Bolingbroke, Duke of Lancaster, and eldest son and heir of John of Gaunt, crowned by the name of Henry IV, seized upon the realm, deposed the rightful king, and sent his poor queen to France, from whence she came, and him to Pomfret, where, as all you know, harmless Richard was murdered traitorously.
Father, the Duke hath told the truth. Thus got the house of Lancaster the crown.
Which now they hold by force and not by right. For Richard, the first son's heir, being dead, the issue of the next son should have reigned.
But William of Hatfield died without an heir.
The third son, Duke of Clarence, from whose line I claim the crown, had issue, Philippa, the daughter, who married Edmund Mortimer, Earl of March. Edmund had issue, Roger, Earl of March. Roger had issue, Edmund, Anne, and Eleanor.
This Edmund is the reign of Bolingbroke, as I've read, laid claim onto the crown, and but of Owen Glendower had been king, who kept him in captivity till he died. But to the rest.
His eldest sister, Anne, my mother, being heir unto the crown, married Richard, Earl of Cambridge, who was son to Edmund Langley, Edward III's 5th son. By her I claim the kingdom. She was heir to Roger, Earl of March, who was the son of Edmund Mortimer, who married Philippa, sole daughter unto Lionel, Duke of Clarence. So, if the issue of the eldest son succeed before the younger, well, I am king.
What plain proceedings is more plain than this? Henry doth claim the crown from John of Gaunt, the 4th son. York claims it from the 3rd. Till Lionel's issue fails, his should not reign. It fails not yet, but flourishes in thee and in thy sons, fair slips of such a stock. Then, Father Salisbury, kneel we together, and in this private plot be we the first that shall salute our rightful sovereign with honor of his birthright to the crown.
Long live our
sovereign
sovereign Richard, England's king.
We thank you, Lord. But I am not your king till I be crowned, and that my sword be stained with heart blood of the house of Lancaster. And that's not suddenly to be performed, but with advice and silent secrecy. Do you, as I do in these dangerous days, wink at the Duke of Suffolk's insolence, at Beaufort's pride, at Somerset's ambition, at Buckingham and all the rest of them, till they have snared the shepherd of the flock, the virtuous prince, the good Duke Humphrey? 'Tis that they seek, and they, in seeking that, shall find their deaths, if York can prophesy.
My lord, break we off. We know your mind at full.
My heart assures me that the Earl of Warwick shall one day make the Duke of York a king.
And Neville, this I do assure myself. Richard shall live to make the Earl of Warwick the greatest man in England, but the king.
They exit. Act 2, Scene 3. Enter King Henry, Queen Margaret, Gloucester, York, Salisbury, Suffolk, and others, with the guard to banish the Duchess of Gloucester, who is accompanied by Marjorie Jourdain, Southwell, Hume, and Bolingbroke, all guarded.
Stand forth, Dame Eleanor Cobham, Gloucester's wife. In sight of God and us, your guilt is great. Receive the sentence of the law for sins, such as by God's book are adjudged to death. You four, from hence to prison back again, from thence unto the place of execution. The witch in Smithfield shall be burnt to ashes, and you three shall be strangled on the gallows. You, madam, for you are more nobly born, despoiled of your honor in your life, shall after 3 days open penance done, live in your country here in banishment, with Sir John Stanley in the Isle of Man.
Welcome is banishment. Welcome were my death.
Eleanor, the law thou seest hath judged thee. I cannot justify whom the law condemns. Mine eyes are full of tears, my heart of grief. Humphrey, this dishonor in thine age will bring thy head with sorrow to the ground. I beseech your majesty, give me leave to go. The sorrow would solace, and mine age would ease.
Stay, Humphrey, Duke of Gloucester. Ere thou go, give up thy staff. Henry will to himself protector be, and God shall be my hope, my stay, my guide, and lantern to my feet. And go in peace, Humphrey, no less beloved, than when thou wert protector to thy king.
I see no reason why a king of years should be protected like a child. God and King Henry govern England's realm. Give up your staff, sir, and the king his realm.
My staff? Here, noble Henry, is my staff. As willingly do I the same resign as ere thy father Henry made it mine. And even as willingly at thy feet I leave it, as others would ambitiously receive it. Farewell, good king. When I am dead and gone, may honorable peace attend thy throne.
Why now is Henry king, and Margaret queen, and Humphrey, Duke of Gloucester, scarce himself that bears so shrewd a maim, 2 pulls at once, his lady banished and a limb lopped off. This staff of honor wrought, there let it stand where it best fits to be, in Henry's hand.
Thus droops this lofty pine and hangs his sprays. Thus Eleanor's pride dies in her youngest days.
Lords, let him go. Please it, your majesty. This is the day appointed for the combat, and ready are the appellant and defendant, the armourer and his man, to enter the lists. So please your highness to behold the fight.
Aye, good my lord, for purposely therefore left I the court to see this quarrel tried.
In God's name, see the lists and all things fit. Here, let them end it, and God defend the right.
I never saw a fellow worse bestead, or more afraid to fight, than is the appellant, the servant of his armourer, my lords.
Enter at one door the armourer Horner and his neighbours, drinking to him so much that he is drunk. And he enters with a drum before him and his staff with a sandbag fastened to it. At the other door his man Peter, with a drum and sandbag, and apprentices drinking to him.
Here, neighbour Horner, I drink to you in a cup of sack, and fear not, neighbour, you shall do well enough.
And here, neighbour, is a cup of charnico.
And here's a pot of good double beer, neighbor. Drink and fear not your man.
Let it come in faith. I'll pledge you all, and a fig for Peter.
Here, Peter, I drink to thee, and be not afraid.
Be merry, Peter, and fear not thy master. Fight for credit of the prentices.
I thank you all. Drink and pray for me, I pray you, for I think I have taken my last draught in this world. Here, Robin, and if I die, I give thee my apron. And Will, thou should have my hammer. And here, Tom, take all the money that I have. Oh, Lord, bless me, I pray God, for I am never able to deal with my master. He hath learnt so much fence already.
Come, leave your drinking, and fall to blows. Sirrah, what's thy name?
Peter, forsooth.
Peter? What more?
Thump.
Thump? Then see thou thump thy master well.
Masters, I'm come hither, as it were, upon my man's instigation, to prove him a knave and myself an honest man. And touching the Duke of York, I will take my death. I never meant him any ill, nor the king, nor the queen. And therefore, Peter, have at thee with a downright blow.
Dispatch! This knave's tongue begins to double. Sound, trumpets! Alarm to the combatants.
They fight, and Peter strikes him down.
Hold, Peter, hold. I confess treason.
He dies.
Take away his weapon. Fellow, thank God and the good wine in thy master's way.
Oh, God. Have I overcome mine enemies in this presence? Oh, Peter, thou hast prevailed in right.
Go, take hence that traitor from our sight, for by his death we do perceive his guilt, and God in just hath revealed to us the truth and innocence of this poor fellow, which he had thought to have murdered wrongfully. Come, fellow, follow us for thy reward.
They exit, bearing Horner's body. Act 2, Scene 4. Enter Duke Humphrey of Gloucester and his men in mourning cloaks.
Thus sometimes hath the brightest day a cloud, and after summer evermore succeeds barren winter with his wrathful nipping cold. So cares and joys abound as seasons fleet. Sirs, what's o'clock?
10, my lord.
10 is the hour that was appointed me to watch the coming of my punished Duchess. Uneath may she endure the flinty streets, to tread them with her tender feeling feet. Sweet Nell, ill can my noble mind brook the abject people gazing on thy face with envious looks, laughing at thy shame, that erst did follow thy proud chariot wheels when thou didst ride in triumph through the streets. Soft, I think she comes, and I'll prepare my tear-stained eyes to see her miseries.
Enter the Duchess of Gloucester, barefoot in a white sheet with papers pinned to her back and a taper burning in her hand, with Sir John Stanley, the sheriff, and officers. So please, your grace, will take her from the sheriff.
No, stir not for your lives. Let her pass by.
Come you, my lord, to see my open shame? Now thou dost penance too. Look how they gaze. See how the giddy multitude do point and nod their heads and throw their eyes on thee. Ah, Gloucester, hide thee from their hateful looks, and in thy closet pent up rue my shame, and ban thine enemies, both mine and thine.
Be patient, gentle Nell, forget this grief.
Ah, Gloucester, teach me to forget myself. For whilst I think I am thy married wife, and thou a prince, protector of this land, methinks I should not thus be led along, mailed up in shame with papers on my back, and followed with a rabble that rejoice to see my tears and hear my deep set groans. The ruthless fit doth cut my tender feet, and when I start, the envious people laugh and bid me be advised in how I tread. Oh, Humphrey, can I bear this shameful yoke? Trust thou that ere I'll look upon the world, or count them happy that enjoys the sun? No, dark shall be my light, and night my day. To think upon my pomp shall be my hell. Sometimes I'll say, I am Duke Humphrey's wife, And he a prince and ruler of the land, yet so he ruled. And such a prince he was that he stood by while I, his forlorn duchess, was made a wonder and a pointing stock to every idle rascal follower but he. But be thou mild, and blush not at my shame, nor stir at nothing, till the axe of death hung over thee, as sure it shortly will. For Suffolk, he that can do all in all, and York, and impious Beaufort, that false priest, have all lined bushes to betray thy wings. And fly thou how thou canst, they'll tangle thee. But fear not thou until thy foot be snared, nor never seek prevention of thy loss.
Nell, forbear. Thou aimest all awry. I must offend before I be attainted. And had I 20 times so many foes, and each of them had 20 times their power, all these could not procure me any scathe, so long as I am loyal, true, and crimeless. Wouldst have me rescue thee from this reproach? Why, if thy scandal were not wiped away, but I in danger for the breach of law. The greatest help is quiet, gentle Nell. I pray thee, sort thy heart to patience. These few days' wonders will be quickly worn.
Enter a herald.
I summon your grace to his majesty's parliament, holden at Bury, the 1st of this next month.
And my consent ne'er asked herein before? This is close dealing. Well, I will be there.
The herald exits.
No, I take my leave. And Master Sheriff, let not her penance exceed the king's commission.
And it please your grace, here my commission stays, and Sir John Stanley is appointed now to take her with him to the Isle of Man.
Must you, Sir John, protect my lady here?
So I am given in charge, may it please your grace.
Entreat her not the worse, in that I pray you use her well. The world may laugh again, and I may live to do you kindness if you do it to her. So, Sir John, farewell.
Not gone, my lord, and bid me not farewell.
Witness my tears. I cannot stay to speak.
Buster exits with his men.
Art thou gone too? All comfort go with thee, for none abides with me. My joy is death, death at whose name I have often been afeared, because I wish this world's eternity. Stanley, I prithee go and take me hence. I cannot whither, for I beg no favor, only convey me where thou art commanded.
Why, madam, that is to the Isle of Man, there to be used according to your state.
That's bad enough, for I am but reproach. And shall I then be used reproachfully?
Like to a duchess and Duke Humphrey's lady, according to that state, you shall be used.
Sheriff, farewell. And better than I fare, although thou hadst been conduct of my shame.
It is my office, and madam, pardon me.
Aye. Farewell. Thy office is discharged.
The sheriff and officers exit.
Come, Stanley, shall we go?
Madam, your penance done, throw off this sheet, and go we to attire you for your journey.
My shame will not be shifted with my sheet. No, it will hang upon my richest robes and show itself. Attire me how I can. Go. Lead the way. I long to see my prison.
They exit. End of Act 2. Act 3, Scene 1. Enter King Henry, Queen Margaret, the Cardinal, Suffolk, York, Buckingham, Salisbury, and Warwick, and others to the Parliament.
I muse my Lord of Gloucester is not come. 'Tis not his wont to be the hindmost man, whatever occasion keeps him from us now.
Can you not see, or will you not observe the strangeness of his altered countenance? With what a majesty he bears himself, how insolent of late he is become, how proud, how peremptory, and unlike himself. We know the time since he was mild and affable, and if we did but glance a far-off look, immediately he was upon his knee, that all the court admired him for submission. But meet him now, and be it in the morn, when everyone will give the time of day, he knits his brow and shows an angry eye, and passeth by with stiff unbowed knee, disdaining duty that to us belongs. Small curs are not regarded when they grin, but great men tremble when the lion roars. And Humphrey is no little man in England. First, note that he is near you in descent, and should you fall, he is the next will mount. Meseemeth then it is no policy respecting what a rancorous mind he bears, and his advantage following your decease, that he should come about your royal person, or be admitted to your highness council. By flattery hath he won the commons' hearts, and when he pleased to make commotion, 'tis to be feared they all will follow him. Now 'tis the spring, and the weeds are shallow rooted. Suffer them now, and they'll o'ergrow the garden, and choke the herbs for want of husbandry. The reverent care I bear unto my lord made me collect these dangers in the duke. If he be fond, call it a woman's fear, which fear, if better reasons can supplant, I will subscribe and say I wronged the duke. My lords of Suffolk, Buckingham, and York, reprove my allegation if you can, or else conclude my words effectual.
Well hath your highness seen into this duke, and had I first been put to speak my mind, I think I should have told your grace's tale. The duchess, by his subordination, upon my life, began her devilish practices, or if he were not privy to those faults, yet by reputing of his high descent, as next the king he was successive heir, and such high vaunts of his nobility did instigate the bedlam brain-sick duchess, by wicked means to frame our sovereign's fall. Smoother runs the water where the brook is deep, and in his simple shows he harbors treason. The fox barks not when he would steal the lamb. No, no, my sovereign, Gloucester is a man unsounded yet and full of deep deceit.
Did he not, contrary to form of law, devise strange deaths for small offences done?
Did he not, in his protectorship, levy great sums of money through the realm for soldiers' pay in France, and never sent it, by means whereof the towns each day revolted?
Tut, these are petty faults to faults unknown, which time will bring to light in smooth Duke Humphrey.
My lords, at once, the care you have of us to mow down thrones that will annoy our foot is worthy praise. But shall I speak my conscience? For our kinsman Gloucester is as innocent from meaning treason to our loyal person as is the sucking lamb or harmless dove. The Duke is virtuous, mild, and too well given to dream on evil or to work my downfall.
What more dangerous than this fond affiance? Seems he a dove? His feathers are but borrowed, for he is disposed as the hateful raven. Is he a lamb? His skin is surely lent him, for he's inclined as is the ravenous wolves, who cannot steal a shape that means deceit. Take heed, my lords, the welfare of us all hangs on the cutting short that fraudful man.
All health unto my gracious sovereign.
Welcome, Lord Somerset. What news from France?
That all your interest in those territories is utterly bereft you. All is lost.
Cold news, Lord Somerset. But God's will be done.
Cold news for me. For I had hope of France as firmly as I hope for fertile England. Thus are my blossoms blasted in the bud, and caterpillars eat my leaves away. But I will remedy this gear ere long, or sell my title for a glorious grave.
To Gloucester.
All happiness unto my lord the king. Pardon, my liege, that I have stayed so long.
Nay, Gloucester, know that thou art come too soon, unless thou wert more loyal than thou art. I do arrest thee of high treason here.
Well, Suffolk, thou shalt not see me blush, nor change my countenance for this arrest. The heart unspotted is not easily daunted. The purest spring is not so free from mud as I am clear from treason to my sovereign. Who can accuse me? Wherein am I guilty?
'Tis thought, my lord, that you took bribes of France, and being protector, stayed the soldiers' pay, by means whereof his highness hath lost France.
Is it but thought so? What are they that think it? I never robbed the soldiers of their pay, nor ever had one penny bribe from France. So help me God, as I have watched the night, I night by night, in studying good for England, that doit that ever I wrested from the king, or any groat I hoarded to my use, be brought against me at my trial day. No, many a pound of mine own proper store, because I would not tax the needy commons, have I dispersed to the garrisons, and never asked for restitution.
It serves you well, my lord, to say so much.
I say no more than truth, so help me God.
In your protectorship, you did devise strange tortures for offenders never heard of, that England was defamed by tyranny.
'Tis well known that whiles I was protector, pity was all the fault that was in me. For I should melt in an offender's tears, and lowly words were ransom for their fault. Unless it were a bloody murderer, or foul felonious thief that fleeced poor passengers. I never gave them condign punishment. Murder indeed, that bloody sin, I tortured above the felon or what trespass else.
My lord, these faults are easy, quickly answered, but mightier crimes are laid unto your charge, whereof you cannot easily purge yourself. I do arrest you in his highness' name, and here commit you to my lord cardinal to keep you further time of trial.
My lord of Gloucester, 'tis my special hope that you will clear yourself from all suspense. My conscience tells me you are innocent.
Gracious Lord, these days are dangerous. Virtue is choked with foul ambition, charity chased hence by rancor's hand. Foul subornation is predominant, and equity exiled from your highness's land. I know their complot is to have my life. If my death might make this island happy and prove the period of their tyranny, I would expend it with all willingness. But mine is made the prologue to their play, for thousands more that yet suspect no peril will not conclude their plotted tragedy. Beaufort's red sparkling eyes blab his heart's malice. Suffolk's cloudy brow his stormy hate. Sharp Buckingham unburdens with his tongue the envious load that lies upon his heart. And dogged York that reaches at the moon, whose overstepping arm I have plucked back, by false accused doth level at my life. And you, my sovereign lady, with the rest, causeless, have laid disgraces on my head, and with your best endeavor have stirred up my liefest liege to be mine enemy. All of you have laid your heads together. Myself had notice of your conventicles, but all to make away my guiltless life. I shall not want false witness to condemn me, nor store of treasons to augment my guilt. The ancient proverb will be well affected. A staff is quickly found to beat a dog.
My liege, his railing is intolerable. If those that care to keep your royal person from treason's secret knife and traitor's rage be thus upbraided, chid, and rated at, and the offender granted scope of speech, 'twill make them cool in zeal unto your grace.
Hath he not twit our sovereign lady here with ignominious words, though clerkly couched? as if she had suborned to come some to swear false allegations to overthrow his state.
But I can give the loser leave to chide.
Far truer spoke than meant. I lose indeed. Shrew the winners, for they played me false, and well such losers may have leave to speak.
He'll wrest the sense and hold us here all day. Lord Cardinal, he is your prisoner.
Sirs, take away the Duke and guard him sure.
Thus King Henry throws away his crutch before his legs be firm to bear his body. Thus is the shepherd beaten from thy side, and wolves are gnarling who shall gnaw thee first. That my fear were false, that it were. For good King Henry, thy decay I fear.
Gloucester exits, guarded by the cardinal's men.
My lords, what to your wisdoms seemeth best, do or undo as if ourself were here.
What will your highness leave the parliament?
Margaret, my heart is drowned with grief, whose flood begins to flow within mine eyes, my body bound and girt with misery. For what's more miserable than discontent? Ah, Uncle Humphrey, in thy face I see the map of honor, truth, and loyalty, and yet, good Humphrey, is the hour to come that ere I proved thee false or feared thy faith. What luring star now envies thy estate, that these good great lords and Margaret, our queen, do seek subversion of thy harmless life? Thou never didst them wrong, nor no man wrong. And as the butcher takes away the calf and binds the wretch and beats it when it strains, bearing to the bloody slaughterhouse, even so remorseless have they borne him hence. And as the dam runs lowing up and down, looking the way her harmless young one went, and can do naught but wail her darling's loss, even so myself bewails good Gloucester's case, with sad, unhelpful tears, and with dimmed eyes, look after him, and cannot do him good, so mighty as well his vowed enemies. His fortune I will weep, and twixt each groan say, who's traitor? Gloucester, he is none.
He exits with Buckingham, Salisbury, Warwick, and others.
Free lords, cold snow melts with the sun's hot beams. Henry, my lord, is cold in great affairs, too full of foolish pity, and Gloucester's show beguiles him, as the mournful crocodile with sorrow snares relenting passengers, or as the snake rolled in a flowering bank. With shining checkered slough doth sting a child, that for the beauty think it excellent. Believe me, lords, were none more wise than I, and yet herein I judge mine own wit good. This Gloucester should be quickly rid the world, to rid us from the fear we have of him.
That he should die is worthy policy, but yet we want a color for his death. 'Tis meet he be condemned by course of law.
But in my mind that were no policy. The king will labor still to save his life, the commons haply rise to save his life, and yet we have but trivial argument, more than mistrust, that shows him worthy death.
So that by this, you would not have him die?
Ah, York, no man alive, so fain as I.
'Tis York that hath more reason for his death, but my Lord Cardinal, and you, my Lord of Suffolk, say as you think, and speak it from your souls. Were it not all one an empty eagle was set to guard the chickens from a hungry kite, and place Duke Humphrey for the king's protector?
So the poor chicken should be sure of death.
Madam, 'tis true. And were it not madness then to make the fox surveyor of the fold, who being accused a crafty murderer, his guilt should be but idly posted over, because his purpose is not executed? Oh, let him die in that he is a fox, but nature proved an enemy to the flock. Before his chaps be stained with crimson blood, as Humphrey proved by reasons to my liege, and do not stand on quillets how to slay him, be it by gins, by snares, by subtlety, sleeping or waking, 'tis no matter how, so he be dead, for that is good deceit which makes him that first intends deceit.
Thrice noble Suffolk, 'tis resolutely spoke.
Not resolute, except so much were done. For things were often spoken, seldom meant, but that my heart accordeth with my tongue, seeing the deed is meritorious. And to preserve my sovereign from his foe, say but the word, and I will be his priest.
But I would have him dead, my lord of Suffolk, ere you can take due orders for a priest. Say you consent and censure well the deed, and I'll provide his executioner. I tender so the safety of my liege.
Here is my hand. The deed is worthy doing.
And so say I.
And I. And now we three have spoken. It skills not greatly who impugns our doom.
Enter a post.
Great lords, from Ireland am I come, amain, to signify that rebels there are up and put the Englishmen unto the sword. Send succors, lords, and stop the rage betime, before the wound do grow uncurable. For being green, there is great hope of help.
A breach that craves a quick expedient stop. What counsel give you in this weighty cause?
That Somerset be sent as regent thither. 'Tis meet that lucky ruler be employed. Witness the fortune he had in France.
If York, with all his far-fetched policy, had been the regent there instead of me, he never would have stayed in France so long.
No, not to lose it all as thou hast done. I rather would have lost my life betimes than bring a burden of dishonor home by staying there so long till all were lost. Show me one scar charactered on thy skin. Man's flesh preserved so whole do seldom win.
Nay then, this spark will prove a raging fire, if wind and fuel be brought to feed it with. No more, good York, sweet Somerset, be still. Thy fortune, York, hadst thou been regent there, might happily have proved far worse than his.
What? Worse than naught? Nay then, a shame take all.
And in the number thee that wishest shame.
My lord of York, try what your fortune is. The uncivil kerns of Ireland are in arms, and temper clay with blood of Englishmen. To Ireland will you lead a band of men collected choicely from each county some, and try your hap against the Irishmen?
I will, my lord. So please his majesty.
Why, our authority is his consent, and what we do establish he confirms. Then, noble York, take thou this task in hand.
I am content. Provide me soldiers, lords, whilst I take order for my own affairs.
A charge, Lord York, that I will see performed. But now return we to the false Duke Humphrey.
No more of him, for I will deal with him, that henceforth he shall trouble us no more. And so break off, the day is almost spent. Lord Suffolk, you and I must talk of that event.
My lord of Suffolk, within 14 days at Bristol I'll expect my soldiers. For there I'll ship them all for Ireland.
I'll see it truly done, my Lord of York.
All but York exit.
Now, York, or never, steel thy fearful thoughts and change misdoubt to resolution. Be that thou hopest to be, or what thou art resigned to death, 'tis not worth the enjoying. Let pale-faced fear keep with the mean-born man, and find no harbour in a royal heart. Faster than springtime showers comes thought on thought, and not a thought but thinks on dignity. my brain more busy than the labouring spider weaves tedious snares to trap mine enemies. Well, nobles, well. 'Tis politically done to send me packing with a host of men. I fear me, you, but warm, the starved snake who cherished in your breasts will sting your hearts. 'Twas men I lacked, and you will give me them, and I take it kindly. Yet be well assured you put sharp weapons in a madman's hands. Whilst I in Ireland nourish a mighty band, I will stir up in England some black storm, shall blow 10,000 souls to heaven or hell. And this foul tempest shall not cease to rage until the golden circuit on my head, like to the glorious sun's transparent beams, do calm the fury of this mad brood flow. And for a minister of my intent, I have seduced a headstrong Kentishman, John Cade of Ashford, to make commotion, as full well he can under the title of John Mortimer. In Ireland I have seen this stubborn Cade oppose himself against a troop of kerns, and fought so long till his thighs with darts were almost like a sharp-quilled porcupine. And in the end, being rescued, I have seen him caper upright like a wild Morisco, shaking his bloody darts as he his bowels. Full often, like a shag-haired crafty kern, hath he conversed with the enemy, and undiscovered come to me again, and given me notice of their villainies. This devil shall here be my substitute. For that John Mortimer, which now is dead, in face, in gait, in speech, he doth resemble. By this I shall perceive the commons' mind, how they affect the house and claim of York. Say he be taken, racked and tortured. I know no pain they can inflict upon him will make him say I moved him to these arms. Say that he thrive, as 'tis great like he will, when then from Ireland come I with my strength to reap the harvest which the rascal sowed. For Humphrey being dead, as he shall be, and Henry put apart, the next for me.
He exits. Act 3, Scene 2. Enter 2 or 3 running over the stage from the murder of Duke Humphrey.
Run to my lord of Suffolk. Let him know we have dispatched the Duke as he commanded. Oh, that it were to do. What have we done? Didst ever hear a man so penitent?
Here comes my lord.
Now, sirs, have you dispatched this thing?
Oh, my good lord, he's dead.
Why, that's well said. Go, get you to my house. I will reward you for this venturous deed. The king and all the peers are here at hand. Have you laid fair the bed? Is all things well, according as I gave directions?
'Tis, my good lord.
Away, be gone.
Murderers exit. Enter the king, Queen Margaret, the Cardinal, Somerset, and attendants.
Go, call our uncle to our... We intend to try his grace today, if he be guilty, as 'tis published.
I'll call him presently, my noble lord.
He exits.
Lords, take your places, and I pray you all, proceed no straighter against our uncle Gloucester than from true evidence of good esteem he be approved in practice culpable.
God forbid any malice should prevail, that faultless may condemn a nobleman. Pray God he may acquit him of suspicion.
I thank thee, Meg. These words content me much.
Enter Suffolk.
How now, my lord? Why look'st thou pale? Why tremblest thou? Where is our uncle? What's the matter, Suffolk?
Dead. In his bed, my lord. Gloucester is dead.
Mary, God forfend.
God's secret judgment. I did dream tonight the Duke was dumb and could not speak a word.
How fares my lord? Help! Lords, the king is dead!
Rear up his body, wring him by the nose.
Run! Go, help! Help! Oh, Henry, ope thy eyes!
He doth revive again. Madam, be patient.
Oh, heavenly God!
How fares my gracious lord?
Comfort, my sovereign. Gracious Henry, comfort.
What? Doth my lord of Suffolk comfort me? Came he right now to sing a raven's note, whose dismal tune bereft my vitals power, and thinks he that the chirping of a wren by crying comfort for a hollow breast can chase away the first conceived sound? Hide not thy poison with such sugared words. Lay not thy hands on me. Forbear, I say. Their touch affrights me as a serpent's sting. Thou baleful messenger, out of my sight! Upon thy eyeballs murderous tyranny sits in grim majesty to fright the word. Look not upon me, for thine eyes are wounding, yet do not go away. Come, basilisks, and kill the innocent gazer with thy sight. For in the shade of death I shall find joy in life, but double death now Gloucester is dead!
Why do you rate my lord of Suffolk thus? Although the Duke was enemy to him, yet he most Christian-like laments his death. And for myself, foe as he was to me, might liquid tears or heart-offending groans or blood-consuming sighs recall his life. I would be blind with weeping, sick with groans, look pale as primrose with blood-drinking sighs, and all to have the noble Duke alive. What know I how the world may deem of me? For it is known we were but hollow friends. It may be judged I made the Duke away. So shall my name with slander's tongue be wounded, and princes' courts be filled with my reproach. This get I by his death, I me unhappy to be a queen and crowned in infamy.
Oh, woe is me for Gloucester, wretched man!
Be woe for me, more wretched than he is. What, dost thou turn away and hide thy face? I am no loathsome leper, look at me. What, art thou like an adder waxen deaf? Be poisonous too and kill thy forlorn queen. Is all comfort shut in Gloucester's tomb? Why then, Dame Margaret was ne'er thy joy. Erect his statue and worship it, and make my image but an alehouse sign. Was I for nigh racked upon the sea, and twice by awkward wind from England's bank drove back again unto my native clime? What boded this, but well forewarning wind did seem to say, seek not a scorpion's nest, nor set no footing on this unkind shore. What did I then but curse the gentle gusts, and he that loosed them forth their brazen caves, and bid them blow toward England's blessed shore, or turn our stern upon a dreadful rock? Yet Aeolus would not be a murderer, but left that hateful office unto thee. The pretty vaulting sea refused to drown me, knowing that thou wouldst have drowned me on shore. With tears the saltest sea through thy unkindness, the splitting rocks cowered in the sinking sands, and would not dash me with their ragged sides, because thy flinty heart, more hard than they, might in thy palace perish, Margaret. As far as I could ken thy chalky cliffs, when from the shore the tempest beat us back, I stood upon the hatches in the storm, and when the dusky sky began to rob my earnest gaping sight of thy land's view, I took a costly jewel from my neck. A heart it was, bound in with diamonds, and threw it towards thy land. The sea received it, and so I wish thy body might my heart. And even with this, I lost fair England's view, and bid mine eyes to be packing with my heart, and called them blind and dusky spectacles for losing ken of Albion's wished coast. How often have I tempted Suffolk's tongue, the agent of thy foul inconstancy, to sit and watch me, as Ascanius did, when he to madding Dido wound unfold his father's acts commenced in burning Troy? Am I not witched like her, or not false like him? Ay me, I can no more. Die, Margaret, for Henry weeps that thou dost live so long.
Enter Warwick and Salisbury and many commons.
It is reported, mighty sovereign, that good Duke Humphrey traitorously is murdered by Suffolk and the Cardinal Beaufort's means. The commons, like an angry hive of bees that want their leader, scatter up and down and care not who they sting in his revenge. Myself have calmed their spleenful mutiny until they hear the order of his death.
That he is dead, good Warwick. It is true. But how he died, God knows. Not Henry. Enter his chamber, view his breathless corpse, and comment then upon his sudden death.
That shall I do, my liege. But stay, Salisbury, with the rude multitude till I return.
Warwick exits through one door. Salisbury and the commons exit through another.
Oh, thou that judgest all things, stay my thoughts that labor to persuade my soul. Some violent hands were laid on Humphrey's life. If my suspect it be false, forgive me, God, for judgment only doth belong to thee. Fain would I go to chafe his paly lips with 20,000 kisses, and to drain upon his face an ocean of salt tears, to tell my love unto his dumb, deaf trunk, and with my fingers feel his hand unfeeling, but all in vain are the obsqueeze, and to survey his dead and earthy image. What were it but to make my sorrow greater?
The bed is put forth bearing Gloucester's body. Enter Warwick.
Come hither, gracious sovereign. View this body.
That is to see how deep my grave is made. For with his soul fled all my worldly solace for seeing him. I see my life and death.
As surely as my soul intends to live with that dread king that took our state upon him, to free us from his father's wrathful curse, I do believe that violent hands were laid upon the life of this thrice famed duke.
A dreadful oath, sworn with a solemn tongue. What instance gives Lord Warwick for his vow?
See how the blood is settled in his face. Oft have I seen a timely parted ghost of ashy semblance, meager, pale, and bloodless, being all descended to the laboring heart, who in the conflict that it holds with death attracts the same for aidance against the enemy, which with the heart there cools and ne'er returneth to blush and beautify the cheek again. But see, his face is black and full of blood, his eyeballs further out than when he lived, staring full ghastly like a strangled man, his hair upreared, his nostrils stretched with struggling, his hands abroad displayed as one that grasped and tugged for life and was by strength subdued. Look, on the sheets his hair, you see, is sticking, his well-proportioned beard made rough and rugged, like to the summer's corn by tempest lodged. It cannot be but he was murdered here. The least of all these signs were probable.
Why, Warwick, who should do the Duke to death? Myself and Beaufort had him in protection, and we, I hope, sir, are no murderers.
But both of you were vowed Duke Humphrey's foes, and you, forsooth, Cardinal, had the good Duke to keep. 'Tis like you would not feast him like a friend, and 'tis well seen he found an enemy.
Then you, belike, suspect these noblemen as guilty of Duke Humphrey's timeless death.
Who finds the heifer dead and bleeding fresh, and sees fast by a butcher with an axe, but will suspect 'twas he that made the slaughter? Who finds the partridge in the puddock's nest, but may imagine how the bird was dead, although the kite soar with unbloodied beak? And even so, suspicious is this tragedy.
Are you the butcher, Suffolk? Where's your knife? Is Beaufort termed a kite? Where are his talons?
I wear no knife to slaughter sleeping men, but here's a vengeful sword rusted with ease, that shall be scoured in his rancorous heart that slanders me with murder's crimson badge. Say, if thou darest, proud lord of Warwickshire, that I am faulty in Duke Humphrey's death.
What dares not Warwick if false Suffolk dare him?
He dares not calm his contumelious spirit, nor cease to be an arrogant controller, though Suffolk dare him 20,000 times.
Madam, be still. With reverence, may I say. For every word you speak in his behalf is slander to your royal dignity.
Blunt-witted lord, ignoble in demeanor, if ever lady wronged her lord so much, thy mother took into her blameful bed some stern untortured churl, and noble stock was graft with curb tree slip, whose fruit thou art, and never of the Nebel's noble race.
But that the guilt of murder bucklers thee, and I should rob the deathsman of his fee, quitting thee thereby of 10,000 shames, and that my sovereign's presence makes me mild. I would, false, murderous coward, on thy knee make thee beg pardon for thy passed speech, and say it was thy mother that thou mean'st, that thou thyself was born in bastardy, and after all this fearful homage done, give thee thy hire and send thy soul to hell, pernicious bloodsucker of sleeping men.
Thou shalt be waking while I shed thy blood, if from this presence thou darest go with me.
Away even now, or I will drag thee hence. Unworthy though thou art, I'll cope with thee and do some service to Duke Humphrey's ghost.
Warwick and Suffolk exit.
What stronger breastplate than a heart untainted? Thrice is he armed that hath his quarrel just, and he but naked, though locked up in steel, whose conscience with unjust is corrupted.
What noise is this?
Enter Suffolk and Warwick with their weapons drawn.
Why, how now, lords, your wrathful weapons drawn? Here, in our presence, dare you be so bold? Why, what tumultuous clamor have we here?
The traitorous Warwick with the men of Bury set upon me, mighty sovereign.
Enter Salisbury.
Sirs, stand apart. The king shall know your mind. Dread lord, the commons send you word by me. Unless the Lord Suffolk straight be done to death, or banished fair England territories, they will be violence tear him from your palace and torture him with grievous ring death. They say by him the good Duke Humphrey died. They say in him they fear your highness's death. And mere instinct of love and loyalty, free from a stubborn opposite intent, as being thought and contradict your liking, makes them thus forward in his banishment. They say in care of most royal person, that if your highness should intend to sleep, and charge that no man should disturb your rest, in pain your dislike, or pain of death, yet notwithstanding such a straight edict, where the serpent seen the forked tongue, the slyly gilded towards our majesty, in the necessary you wait, lest being suffered in the harmful slumber, that the mortal whom might make the sleep eternal, and therefore do they cry, thou you forbid, that they will guard you where you will or no. For such fell serpents as false Suffolk is, with whose envion and fatal sting your loving uncle 20 times his worth, they say is shamefully bereft of life.
An answer from the king, my lord of Salisbury.
'Tis like the commons, rude, unpolished hands could send such message to their sovereign. But you, my lord, were glad to be employed to show how quaint an orator you are. But all the honor Salisbury hath won is that he was the Lord Ambassador sent from the sort of tinkers to the king.
An answer from the king, or we will all break in.
Go, Salisbury. and tell them all I thank them for their tender, loving care. And had I not been cited so by them, yet did I propose as they do entreat, for sure my thoughts do hourly prophesy, mischance unto my state by Suffolk's means. And therefore, by his majesty I swear, whose far unworthy deputy I am, he should not breathe infection in this air, but 3 days longer on pain of death.
Salisbury exits.
Oh, Henry, let me plead for gentle Suffolk.
Ungentle queen, to call him gentle Suffolk. No more, I say. If thou dost plead for him, thou wilt increase unto my wrath. Had I but said, I would have kept my word, but when I swear, it is irrevocable. If after 3 days' space thou here beest found on any that I am ruler of, the world shall be ransom for thy life. Come, Warwick. Come, good Warwick, go with me. I have great matters to impart to thee.
All but the Queen and Suffolk exit.
Mischance and sorrow go along with you. Heart's discontent and sour affliction be playfellows to keep you company. There's 2 of you, the devil make a third, and threefold vengeance tend upon your steps.
Cease, gentle queen. Those excretions, and let thy Suffolk take his heavy leave.
Fie, coward woman and soft-hearted wretch. Hast thou not spirit to curse thine enemies?
A plague upon them. Wherefore should I curse them? Could curses kill, as doth the mandrake's groan? I would invent as bitter searching terms, as cursed, as harsh, as horrible to hear, delivered strongly through my fixed teeth, with full as many signs of deadly hate, as lean-faced envy in her loathsome cave. My tongue should stumble in mine earnest words, mine eyes should sparkle like the beaten flint, mine hair be fixed on end as one distract, as I every joint should seem to curse and ban, and even now my burdened heart would break, should I not curse them. Poison be their drink, gall worse than gall, the daintiest that they taste, their sweetest shade a grove of cypress trees, their chiefest prospect murdering basilisk, their softest touch as smart as lizard stings, their music frightful as a serpent's hiss, as boding screech owls make the consort full, as foul terrors in dark-seated hell.
Enough, sweet Suffolk, thou torments thyself. And these dread curses, like the sun against glass, or like an o'ercharged gun, recoil and turn the force of them upon thyself.
You bade me ban, and will you bid me leave? Now, by the ground that I am banished from, well could I curse away a winter's night, though standing naked on a mountain's top, where biting cold would never let grass grow, and think it but a minute spent in sport.
Let me entreat thee cease. Give me thy hand that I may do it with my mournful tears. Nor let the rain of heaven wet this place to wash away my woeful monuments. Oh, could this kiss be printed in thy hand, that thou mightst think upon these by the seal, through when 1,000 sighs are breathed for thee. So get thee gone, that I may know my grief. 'Tis but surmised whilst thou art standing by, as one that so fits thinking on a want. I will repeal thee, or be well assured. Adventure be banished myself, and banished I am, if but from thee. Go, speak not to me, even now be gone. Oh, go not yet. Even thus 2 friends condemned, embrace and kiss, and take 10,000 leaves, loather 100 times to part than die. Yet now farewell, and farewell life with thee.
Thus is poor Suffolk 10 times banished, once by the king, and 3 times thrice by thee. 'Tis not the land I care for, wert thou thence, and a wilderness is populous enough. So Suffolk had thy heavenly company, for where thou art, there is the world itself, with every several pleasure in the world, and where thou art not, desolation. I can no more. Live thou to joy thy life. Myself no joy in naught but that thou livest.
Enter Vaugh.
Whither goes Vaugh so fast? What news, I prithee?
To signify unto his majesty that Cardinal Beaufort is at the point of death, for suddenly a grievous sickness took him, that makes him gasp and stare and catch the air, blaspheming God and cursing men on earth. Sometimes he talks as if Duke Humphrey's ghost were by his side. Sometimes he calls the king and whispers to his pillow as to him the secrets of his overcharged soul. That I am sent to tell his majesty that even now he cries for him.
Go tell this heavy message to the king.
He exits.
Ay me. What is this world? What news are these? But wherefore grieve I at ours poor loss, omitting Suffolk's exile, my soul's treasure? Why only Suffolk mourn I not for thee, and with the southern clouds contend in tears, theirs for earth's increase, mine for my sorrows. Get thee hence. The king, thou knowest, is coming. If thou be found by me, thou art but dead.
If I depart from thee, I cannot live. And in thy sight to die, what were it else, but like a pleasant slumber in thy lap? Here could I breathe my soul into the air, as mild and gentle as the cradle babe dying with mother's dug between its lips. But from thy sight I should be raging mad, and cry out for thee to close up mine eyes, to have thee with thy lips to stop my mouth. So shouldst thou either turn my flying soul, or I should breathe it so into thy body, and then it lived in sweet Elysium. To die by thee were but to die in jest. For me to die were torture more than death. Oh, let me stay, befall what may befall.
Away! Though parting be a fretful corrosive, it is applied to a deathful wound. To France, sweet Suffolk, let me hear from thee, for wheresoe'er thou art in this world's globe, I'll have an iris that shall find thee out.
I go,
And take my heart with thee.
a jewel locked into the woefulst cask that ever did contain a thing of worth, even as a splitted bark, so sunder we. This way fall I to death.
This way for me.
They exit through different doors. Act 3, Scene 3. Enter King Henry, Salisbury and Warwick, to the Cardinal in bed, raving and staring.
How fares my lord? Speak, Beaufort, to thy sovereign.
If thou beest death, I'll give thee England's treasure, enough to purchase such another island. So thou wilt let me live and feel no pain.
Ah, what a sign it is of evil life, where death's approach is seen so terrible.
Beaufort, it is thy sovereign speaks to thee.
Bring me unto my trial when you will. Died he not in his bed? Where should he die? Can I make men live where they will or no? Oh, torture me no more. I will confess, alive again, and show me where he is. I'll give 1,000 pounds to look upon him. He hath no eyes. Oh, the dust hath blinded them. Comb down his hair. Look, look, it stands upright like lime twigs set to catch my winged soul. Give me some drink, and bid the apothecary bring the strong poison that I bought of him.
Oh, thou eternal mover of the heavens, look with a gentle eye upon this wretch. Oh, beat away the busy melding fiend that lays strong siege unto this wretched soul, and from his bosom purge this black despair.
See how the pangs of death do make him grin.
Disturb him not. Let him pass peacefully.
Peace to his soul, if God's good pleasure be. Lord Cardinal, if thou list on heaven's bliss, hold up thy hand, make a single of thy hope.
Cardinal dies.
He dies, and makes no sign. Oh God, forgive him.
So bad a death argues a monstrous life.
Forbear to judge, for we are sinners all. Close up his eyes, and draw the curtain close, and let us all to meditation.
The curtains are closed around the bed. They exit. End of Act 3. Act 4, Scene 1. Enter a captain, Suffolk captive in a disguise, and others, including a master's mate, Walter Whitmore, and prisoners.
The gaudy, blabbing, and remorseful day has crept into the bosom of the sea. And now loud howling wolves arouse the jades that drag the tragic melancholy night, who, with their drowsy, slow, and flagging wings, clip dead men's graves, and from their misty jaws breathe foul, contagious darkness in the air. Therefore, bring forth the soldiers of our prize, for whilst our pinnace anchors in the downs, here shall they make their ransom on the sand, or with their blood stain this discolored shore. Master, this prisoner freely give I thee, and thou that art his mate, make boot of this. The other, Walter Whitmore, is thy share.
3 gentlemen prisoners, including Suffolk, are handed over.
What is my ransom, master? Let me know.
1,000 crowns, or else lay down your head. So much shall you give, or off yours goes.
What? Think you much to pay 2,000 crowns and bear the name and port of gentlemen? Cut both the villains' throats, for die you shall. The lives of those which we have lost in fight be counterpoised with such a petty sum.
I'll give it, sir, and therefore spare my life.
And so will I, and ride home for it straight.
I lost mine eye in laying the prize aboard, and therefore to revenge it shalt thou die. And so should these, if I might have my will.
Be not so rash. Take ransom. Let him live.
Look on my George. I am a gentleman. Rate me at what thou wilt. Thou shalt be paid.
So am I. My name is Walter Whitmore. Now, why starts thou? What, doth death affright?
Thy name affrights me, in whose sound is death. The cunning man did calculate my birth, and told me that by water I should die. Yet let not this make thee be bloody minded. Thy name is Gualtier, being rightly sounded.
Walter, which it is I cannot. Never yet did base dishonor blur our name, but with our sword we wiped away the blot. Therefore, when merchant like I sell revenge, broke be my sword, my arms torn and defaced, and I proclaimed a coward through the world.
Stay, Whitmore, for thy prisoner is a prince, the Duke of Suffolk, William de la Pole.
The Duke of Suffolk, muffled up in rags.
Aye, but these rags are no part of the Duke. Jove sometimes went disguised, and why not I?
The Jover was never slain, as thou shalt be.
Obscure and lousy swain, King Henry's blood, the honorable blood of Lancaster, must not be shed by such a jaded groom. Hast thou not kissed thy hand and held my stirrup? Bareheaded plodded by my footcloth mule, and thought thee happy when I shook my head? How often hast thou waited at my cup, fed from my trencher, kneeled down at the board where I have feasted with Queen Margaret? Remember it, and let it make thee crestfallen. Aye, and ally this abortive pride, for in our voiding lobby hast thou stood, and dully waited for my coming forth. This hand of mine hath written thy behalf, and therefore shall it charm this thy riotous tongue.
Speak, Captain, till I stab the forlorn swain.
First let my word stab him as he hath me.
Base slave, thy words are blunt, and so art thou.
Convey him hence, and on our longboat side strike off his head.
Thou darest not for thy own.
Yes, Pole.
Pole.
Pole, Sir Pole, Lord. I, Kennel, Puddle, Sink, whose filth and dirt troubles the silver spring where England drinks. Now will I dam up this thy yawning mouth for swallowing the treasure of the realm. Thy lips that kiss the queen shall sweep the ground, and thou that smiledest at good Duke Humphrey's death against the senseless wind shall grin in vain, who in contempt shall hiss at thee again. And wedded be thou to the hags of hell for daring to affy a mighty lord unto the daughter of a worthless king, having neither subject, wealth, nor diadem. By devilish policy art thou grown great, and like ambitious Scylla, overgorged with gobbets of thy mother's bleeding heart. By thee, Anjou and Maine were sold to France. The false revolting Normans thorough thee disdain to call us lord, and Picardy hath slain their governors, surprised our forts, and sent the ragged soldiers wounded home. The princely Warwick and the Nevilles all, whose dreadful swords were never drawn in vain, as hating thee, are rising up in arms. And now the house of York, thrust from the crown by shameful murder of a guiltless king, and lofty, proud, encroaching tyranny, burns with revenging fire, whose hopeful colors advance our half-faced sun, striving to shine, under the which is writ, Invitus nubibus. The commons here in Kent are up in arms, and to conclude, reproach and beggary is crept into the palace of our king, and all by thee. Away, convey him hence.
Oh, that I were a god, to shoot forth thunder upon these paltry, servile, abject drudges. Small things make base men proud. This villain here, being captain of a pinnace, threatens more than Bargilus, the strong Illyrian pirate. Drones suck not eagle's blood, but rob beehives. It is impossible that I should die by such a lowly vassal as thyself. Thy words move rage and not remorse in me. I go a message from the Queen to France. I charge thee waft me safely cross the channel.
Walter.
Come, Suffolk, I must waft thee to thy death.
Ane, Gildus, timor occupat artus. It is thee I fear.
Thou shalt have cause to fear before I leave thee. What, are you daunted now? Now will you stoop?
My gracious lord, entreat him. Speak him fair.
Suffolk's imperial tongue is stern and rough, used to command, untaught to plead for favor. Far be it we should honor such as these with humble suit. No, rather let my head stoop to the block than these knaves bow to any save to the God of heaven and to my king. And sooner dance upon a bloody pole than strand uncovered to the vulgar groom. True nobility is exempt from fear. More can I bear than you dare execute.
Hale him away, and let him talk no more.
Come, soldiers, show what cruelty you can, that this my death may never be forgot. Great men oft die by vile Bezonians. The Roman sorter and bandito slave murdered sweet Tully, Brutus' bastard hand, stabbed Julius Caesar. Savage islanders, Pompey the Great. And Suffolk dies by pirates.
Whitmore exits with Suffolk and others.
And as for these who ransom we have set, it is our pleasure one of them depart. Therefore come you with us, and let him go.
The captain and the rest exit. First gentleman remains, Enter Whitmore with the body and severed head of Suffolk.
There let his head and lifeless body lie until the queen his mistress bury it.
Whitmore exits.
Oh, barbarous and bloody spectacle. His body will I bear unto the king, if he will revenge it not, yet will his friends. So will the queen that living held him dear.
He exits with the head and body. Act 4, Scene 2. Enter Bevis and John Holland with staves.
Come and get thee a sword, though made of a lath. They have been made up to these 2 days.
They have the more need to sleep now, then.
I tell thee, Jack Cade, the clothier means to dress the Commonwealth, and turn it, and set a new nap upon it.
So he had need, for 'tis treadbare. Well, I say it was never merry world in England since gentlemen came up.
O miserable age, virtue is not regarded in handicraftsmen.
The nobility thinks scorn to go in leather aprons.
Nay, more, the king's council are no good workmen.
True, and yet it is said, labor in thy vocation, which is as much to say as, let the magistrates be laboring men, and therefore should we.
Thou hast hit it, for there's no better sign of a brave mind than a hard hand.
I see them, their best son, the Tanner of Wickham.
He shall have the skins of our enemies to make dogs leather of.
And Dick the butcher.
Then 'tis sin, struck down like an ox, and iniquity's throat cut like a calf.
And Smith the weaver.
Argo, their thread of life is spun.
Come, let's fall in with them.
Enter Cade, Dick the Butcher, Smith the Weaver, and a Sawyer with infinite numbers, all with staves.
We, John Cade, so termed of our supposed father.
Or rather of Stephen a Cade of Airings.
For our enemies shall fall before us, inspired with the spirit of putting down kings and princes. Command silence.
Silence!
My father was a Mortimer.
He was an honest man and a good bricklayer.
My mother a Plantagenet.
Oh, I knew her well. She was a midwife.
My wife descended of the Lacys.
She was indeed a peddler's daughter and sold more laces.
Now of late, not able to travel with her furred pack, she washes bucks here at home.
Therefore am I of an honorable house.
Aye, by my faith, the field is honourable, and there was he born under a hedge, for his father had never a house but the cage.
Valiant I am.
He must needs, for beggary is valiant.
I am able to endure much.
No question of that, for I have seen him whipped 3 market days together.
I fear neither sword nor fire.
He need not fear the sword, for his coat is of proof.
Methinks he should stand in fear of fire, being burnt in the hand for stealing of sheep.
Be brave then, for your captain is brave, and vows reformation. There shall be in England 7 halfpenny loaves sold for a penny. The 3 hooped pot shall have 10 hoops, and I will make it felony to drink small beer. All the realm shall be in common, and in Cheapside shall my palfrey go to grass. And when I am king, as king I will be.
God save your majesty!
I thank you, good people. There shall be no money. All shall eat and drink on my score, and I will upheld them all in one livery. And that they may agree like brothers and worship me their lord.
The first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers.
Nay, that I mean to do. Is not this a lamentable thing, that of the skin of an innocent lamb should be made parchment? That parchment, being scribbled o'er, should undo a man. Some say bees sting, but I say 'tis the beeswax. For I did but seal once to a thing, and I was never mine own man since. How now, who's there?
Enter a clerk of Chartham under guard.
The clerk of Chartham. He can write and read and cast account.
Oh, monstrous.
We took him setting of boys' copies.
Here's a villain.
Has a book in his pocket with red letters in it.
Nay, then he is a conjurer.
Nay, he can make obligations and write court hand.
I'm sorry for it. The man is a proper man of mine honor. Unless I find him guilty, he shall not die. Come hither, Sirrah. I must examine thee. What is thy name?
Emmanuel.
They're used to write it on top of letters. It will go hard with you.
Let me alone. Dost thou use to write thy name? Or hast thou a mark to thyself like an honest, plain-dealing man?
Sir, I thank God I have been so well brought up that I can write my name.
Oh, he has confessed. Oh, he's a villain and a traitor.
Away with him, I say. Hang him with his pen and inkhorn about his neck.
No.
One exits with the clerk.
No.
Enter Michael.
Where's our general?
Here I am, thou particular fellow.
Fly, fly, fly! Sir Humphrey Stafford and his brother are hard by with the king's forces.
Stand, villain, stand, or I'll fell thee down. He shall be encountered with a man as good as himself. He is but a knight, is he?
No.
To equal him, I will make myself a knight presently. Rise up, Sir John Mortimer. Now have at him.
Enter Sir Humphrey Stafford and his brother with a herald, drum, and soldiers.
Rebellious hinds, the filth and scum of Kent marked for the gallows, lay your weapons down. Home to your cottages, forsake this groom. The king is merciful if you revolt.
But angry, wrathful, and inclined to blood if you go forward. Therefore yield or die.
As for these silk-coated slaves, I pass not. It is to you, good people, that I speak, over whom in time to come I hope to reign, for I am rightful heir unto the crown.
Villain, thy father was a plasterer. Thou thyself a shearman, art thou not?
And Adam was a gardener.
And what of that?
Marry this. Edmund Mortimer, Earl of March, married the Duke of Clarence's daughter, did he not?
Aye, sir.
By her, he had 2 children at one birth.
That's false.
Aye, there's the question. But I say 'tis true. The elder of them, being put to nurse, was by a beggar woman stolen away, and ignorant of his birth and parentage, became a bricklayer when he came to age. His son am I. Deny it if you can.
Nay, 'tis too true. Therefore, he shall be king.
He made a chimney at my father's house, and the bricks are alive at this day to testify it. Therefore deny it not.
And will you credit this base drudge's words that speaks he knows not what?
Aye, marry we will. Therefore get you gone.
Jack Cade, the Duke of York hath taught you this.
Oh, he lies, for I invented it myself. Go to, Sirrah. Tell the king from me that for his father's sake, Henry V, in whose time boys went to span counter for French crowns, I am content he shall reign, but I'll be protector over him.
And furthermore, we'll have the Lord Sayer's head for selling the dukedom of Maine.
And good reason, for thereby is England mained and fain to go with the staff. but that my puissance holds it up. Fellow kings, I tell you that the Lord Say hath gelded the Commonwealth and made it an eunuch. And more than that, he can speak French, and therefore he is a traitor.
Oh, gross and miserable ignorance.
Nay, answer if you can. The Frenchmen are our enemies. Go to then, and I ask but this. Can he that speaks the tongue of an enemy be a good counselor or no?
No, no, and therefore we'll have his head.
Well, seeing gentle words will not prevail, assail him with the army of the king.
Herald away, and throughout every town proclaim them traitors that are up with Cade. Those that which fly before the battle ends may, even in their wives' and children's sight, be hanged up, for example, at their doors. And you that be the king's friends, follow me.
Stafford's soldiers and herald exit.
And you that love the commons, follow me. Now show yourselves men. 'Tis for liberty. We will not leave one lord, one gentleman, spare none but such as go in clouded shoon, for they are thrifty, honest men, and such as would, but that they dare not take our parts.
They are all in order and march toward us.
But then are we in order when we are most out of order? Come, march forward.
They exit. Act 4, Scene 3. They fight, and both the Staffords are slain. Enter Cade and the rest.
Where's Dick, the butcher of Ashford?
Here, sir.
They fell before thee like sheep and oxen. Now behavest thyself as if thou hadst been in thine own slaughterhouse. Therefore, thus will I reward thee. The length shall be as long again as it is, and thou shalt have a license to kill for 100 lacking 1.
I desire no more.
And to speak truth, thou deservest no less. This monument will I bear. And the bodies shall be dragged at my horse heels till I do come to London, where we will have the mayor's sword borne before us.
If we mean to thrive and do good, break open the jails and let out the prisoners.
Fear not that, I warn thee. Come, let's march towards London.
They exit with the bodies of the Staffords. Act 4, Scene 4. Enter the king with a supplication, and Queen Margaret with Suffolk's head, the Duke of Buckingham, and the Lord Say.
Oft have I heard that grief softens the mind and makes it fearful and degenerate. Think therefore on revenge and cease to weep. But who can cease to weep and look on this? Here may his head lie on my throbbing breast, but where's the body that I should embrace?
What answer makes your grace to the rebel's supplication?
I'll send some holy bishop to entreat, for God forbid so many simple souls should perish by the sword. And I myself, rather than bloody war, shall cut them short with parley with Jack Cade, their general. But stay, I'll read it over once again.
Barbarous villains! Hath this lovely face ruled like a wandering planet o'er me? And could it not enforce them to relent that were unworthy to behold the same?
Lord Say, Jack Cade hath sworn to have thy head.
Aye, but I hope your highness shall have his.
How now, madam? Still lamenting and mourning for Suffolk's death? I fear me, love, if that I had been dead, thou wouldst not have mourned so much for me.
No, my love, I should not mourn, but die for thee.
Enter a messenger.
How now, what news? Why comest thou in such haste?
The rebels are at Suffolk. Fly, my lord. Jack Cade proclaims himself Lord Mortimer, descended from the Duke of Clarence house, and calls your grace usurper openly, and vows to crown himself at Westminster. His army is a ragged multitude of hinds and peasants, rude and merciless. Sir Humphrey Stafford and his brother's death have given them heart and courage to proceed. All scholars, lawyers, courtiers, and gentlemen they call false caterpillars and intend their death.
O graceless men, they know not what they do.
My gracious lord, retire to Killingworth until a power be raised to put them down.
Were the Duke of Suffolk now alive, these Kentish rebels would be soon appeased.
Lord say, the traitors hath thee, therefore away with us to Killingsworth.
So might your grace's person be in danger. The sight of me is odious in their eyes, and therefore in this city will I stay and live alone, as secret as I may.
Enter another messenger. Jack Cade hath gotten London Bridge. The citizens fly and forsake their houses. The rascal people, thirsting after prey, join with the traitor, and they jointly swear to spoil the city and your royal court.
Then linger not, my lord. Away, take horse.
Come, Margaret. God, our hope will secure us.
My hope is gone now Suffolk is deceased.
Farewell, my lord. Trust not the Kentish rebels.
Trust nobody for fear you be betrayed.
The trust I have is in mine innocence, and therefore am I bold and resolute.
They exit. Act 4, Scene 5. Enter Lord Scales upon the tower, walking, then 2 or 3 citizens below. How now, is Jack Cade slain?
No, my lord, not likely to be slain, for they have won the bridge, killing all those that withstand them. The Lord Mayor craves aid of your honor from the tower to defend the city from the rebels.
Such aid as I can spare you shall command, but I am troubled here with them myself. The rebels have essayed to win the tower, but get you to Smithfield and gather head, and thither I will send you Matthew Goch. Fight for your king, your country, and your lives, and so farewell, for I must hence again. They exit. Act 4, Scene 6. Enter Jack Cade and the rest, and strikes his staff upon the London stone.
Now is Mortimer lord of this city. And here, sitting upon London stone, I charge and command that, of the city's cost, the pissing conduit run nothing but claret wine this first year of our reign. And now henceforth it shall be treason for any that calls me other than Lord Mortimer.
Enter a soldier running. Jack Cade! Jack Cade!
Look him down there!
If this fellow be wise, he'll never call you Jack Cade no more. I think he hath a very fine warning. My lord, there's an army gathered together in Smithfield.
Come then, let's go fight with them. But first, go and set London Bridge on fire, and if you can, burn down the tower too. Come, let's away.
All exit. Act 4, Scene 7. A fight, Matthew Goch is slain, and all the rest. Then enter Jack Cade with his company.
So, sirs, now go some and pull down the Savoy, others to the Inns of Court, down with them all.
I have a suit unto your lordship.
Be it a lordship, thou shalt have it for that word.
Only that the laws of England may come out of your mouth.
Mass, 'twill be sore law then, for he was thrust in the mouth with a spear, and 'tis not whole yet.
Nay, John, it will be stinking law, for his breath stinks with eating toasted cheese.
I have thought upon it. It shall be so. Away. Burn all the records of the realm. My mouth shall be the Parliament of England.
Then we are like to have biting statues, unless his teeth be pulled out.
And henceforth, all things shall be in common.
Enter a messenger.
My lord, a prize, a prize. Here's the Lord's say, which sold the towns in France. He that made us pay 1 20 15s, and a shilling to the pound, the last subsidy.
Enter George with the Lord's say.
Well, he shall be beheaded for it 10 times. Ah, thou say, thou surge, nay, thou buckram lord. Now art thou within point blank of our jurisdiction regal. What canst thou answer to my majesty for giving up of Normandy into Monsieur Massimieux, the Dauphin of France? Be it known unto thee by these presents, even the presence of Lord Mortimer, that I am the besom that must sweep the court clean of such filth as thou art. Thou hast most traitorously corrupted the youth of the realm in erecting a grammar school. And whereas before our forefathers had no other books but the score and the tally, thou hast caused printing to be used. And contrary to the king, his crown, and dignity, thou hast built a paper mill. It will be proved to thy face that thou hast men about thee that usually talk of a noun and a verb and such abominable things as no Christian ear can endure to hear. Thou hast appointed justices of peace to call poor men before them about matters they were not able to answer. Moreover, thou hast put them in prison, and because they could not read, thou hast hanged them. When indeed only for that cause they have been most worthy to live. Thou dost ride on a footcloth, dost thou not?
What of that?
Marry, thou oughtst not to let thy horse wear a cloak, when honester men than thou go in their hose and doublets.
And work in their shirts too, as myself, for I am a butcher.
You men of Kent.
But what say you of Kent?
Nothing but this. 'Tis bonitarum allegans.
Oh, away with him, away with him. He speaks Latin.
Hear me but speak, and bear me where you will. And in the commentaries, Caesar writ is termed the civilest place of all this isle. Sweet is the country because full of riches. The people, liberal, valiant, active, wealthy, which makes me hope you are not void of pity. I sold not Maine. I lost not Normandy, yet to recover them would lose my life. Justice with favor have I always done. Prayers and tears have moved me, gifts could never. When have I aught exacted at your hands, Kent, to maintain the king, realm, and you? Large gifts have I bestowed on learned clerks, because my book preferred me to the king. And seeing ignorance is the curse of God, knowledge the wing wherewith we fly to heaven. Unless you be possessed with devilish spirits, you cannot but forbear to murder me. This tongue hath parlayed unto foreign kings for your behoof.
When struckst thou one blow in the field?
Great men have reaching hands. Oft have I struck those that I never saw and struck them dead.
Oh, monstrous coward, what to come behind those folks?
These cheeks are pale for watching for your good.
Give him a box of the ear, that'll make him red again.
Long sitting to determine poor men's causes hath made me full of sickness and diseases.
You shall have a hempen caudle then, and the help of a hatchet.
Why dost thou quiver, man?
The palsy and not fear provokes me.
Nay, he nods at us, as who should say, I'll be even with you. I'll see if his head will stand steadier on a pole or no. Take him away and behead him.
Tell me, wherein have I offended most? Have I affected wealth or honor? Speak. Are my chests filled up with extorted gold? Is my apparel sumptuous to behold? Whom have I injured that you seek my death? These hands are free from guiltless bloodshedding, this breast from harboring foul, deceitful thoughts. Oh, let me live.
I feel remorse in myself with these words, but I'll bridle it. He shall die, and it be but for pleading so well for his life. Away with him. He has a familiar under his tongue. He speaks not in God's name. Go, take him away, I say, and strike off his head presently. And then break into his son-in-law house, Sir James Cromer, and strike off his head, and bring them both upon 2 poles hither.
Shall be done.
It shall be done.
Countrymen, if when you make your prayers, God should be so obdurate as yourselves, how would it fare with your departed souls? And therefore yet relent and save my life.
Away with him, and do as I command you.
Some exit with Lord Say.
The proudest peer in the realm shall not wear a head on his shoulders unless he pay me tribute. There shall not be a maid be married, but she shall pay to me her maidenhead ere they have it. Men shall hold of me in capite, and we shall charge and command that their wives be as free as heart can wish or tongue can tell.
My lord, when shall we go to Cheapside and take up commodities upon our bills?
Marry, presently.
Oh,
Oh,
brave.
brave.
Enter one with the heads of Lord Say and Sir James Cromer on poles.
Is not this braver? Let them kiss one another, for they loved well when they were alive. Now part them again, lest they consult about giving up of some more towns in France. Soldiers, defer the spoil of the city until night, for with these borne before us instead of maces, we will ride through the streets and at every corner have them kiss. Away.
He exits with his company. Act 4, Scene 8. All retreat. Enter again Cade and all his rabblement.
Up Fish Street, down St. Magnus's Corner, kill and knock down. Throw them into the Thames. What noise is this I hear? Dare any be so bold to sound retreat or parley when I command them kill?
Enter Buckingham and old Clifford with attendants.
Aye, here they be that dare and will disturb thee. No, Cade, we come ambassadors from the king unto the commons, whom thou hast misled, and here pronounce free pardon to them all that will forsake thee and go home in peace.
What say you, countrymen? Will you relent and yield to mercy whilst 'tis offered you, or let a rabble lead to your deaths? Who loves the king and will embrace his pardon, fling up his cap and say, God save his majesty? Who hateth him and honors not his father, Henry V, that made all France to quake, shake he his weapon at us and pass by.
God save the king!
God
save the king!
What? Buckingham and Clifford, are you so brave? And you, base peasants, do you believe him? Will you needs be hanged with your pardons about your necks? Hath my sword therefore broke through London gates, that you should leave me at White Hart and Southwark? I thought you would never given out these arms till you had recovered your ancient freedom. But you are all recreants and dastards, and delight to live in slavery to the nobility. Let them break your backs with burdens, take your houses over your heads, ravish your wives and daughters before your faces. For me, I will make shift for one, and so's God's curse of light upon you all.
We'll follow Cade. We'll follow Cade.
We'll follow Cade.
Cade, the son of Henry V, that thus you do exclaim you'll go with him. Will he conduct you through the heart of France and make the meanest of you earls and dukes? Alas, he hath no home, no place to fly to, nor knows he how to live but by the spoil, unless by robbing of your friends and us. Words not a shame that whilst you live at jar, the fearful French, whom you late vanquished, should make a start or seize and vanquish you. Methinks already in this civil broil, I see them lording it in London streets, crying, Viliago, unto all they meet. Better 10,000 base-born Cades miscarry than you should stoop unto a Frenchman's mercy to France, and get what you have lost. Spare England, for it is your native coast. Henry hath money. You are strong and manly. God on our side, doubt not of victory.
Oh, Clifford!
Clifford!
Oh, Clifford! We'll follow the king!
Follow the king,
Clifford!
Clifford!
Never feather so lightly blown to and fro as this multitude. The name of Henry V hails them to an hundred's mischiefs and makes them leave me desolate. I see them lay their heads together to surprise me. My sword make way for me, for here's no staying. And despite of the devils in hell, have through the very midst of you. And heavens and honor be witness that no want of resolution in me, but only my followers' base and ignominious treasons makes me betake to my heels.
He exits running.
What? Is he fled? Go, some, and follow him, and he that brings his head unto the king shall have 1,000 crowns for his reward. Follow me, soldiers. We'll devise a means to reconcile you all unto the king.
All exit. Act 4, Scene 9. Enter the king, queen, and Somerset on a terrace aloft.
Was ever king that joyed in earthly throne and could command no more content than I? No sooner was I crept out of my cradle, but I was made a king at 9 months old. Was never subject longed to be a king, as I do long and wish to be a subject.
Enter Buckingham and Clifford.
Health and glad tidings to your majesty.
Why, Buckingham, is the traitor Cade surprised, or is he but retired to make him strong?
Enter below multitudes with halters about their necks.
He is fled, my lord, and all his powers do yield, and humbly thus, with halters on their necks, expect your highness's doom of life or death.
Then heaven set ope thy everlasting gates to entertain my vows of thanks and praise. Soldiers, this day have you redeemed your lives and showed how well you love your prince and country. Continue still in this so good a mind, and Henry, though he be unfortunate, assure yourself will never be unkind. And so with thanks and pardon to you all, I do dismiss you to your several countries.
God save the king!
God save the king!
God save the
God
king!
save the king!
God save the king!
The multitudes exit. Enter a messenger.
Please it your grace to be advertised. The Duke of York is newly come from Ireland, and with a puissant and a mighty power of gallowglasses and stout kerns, is marching hitherward in proud array, and still proclaimeth as he comes along, his arms are only to remove from thee the Duke of Somerset, whom he terms a traitor.
Thus stands my state twixt Cade and York distressed, like to a ship that, having escaped a tempest, is straightway calmed and boarded with a pirate. But now is Cade driven back by his men dispersed, and now is York in arms to sit with him. I pray thee, Buckingham, Go and meet him, and ask him what reason of these arms. Tell him I'll send Duke Edmund to the Tower, and Somerset. We will commit thee thither, unto his army be dismissed from him.
My lord, I'll yield myself to prison willingly, or unto death, to do my country good.
In any case, be not too rough in terms, or he's fierce and cannot brook hard language.
I will, my lord, and doubt not so to deal as all things shall redound unto your good.
Come, wife, let's in, and learn to govern better. For yet may England curse my wretched reign.
They exit. Act 4, Scene 10. Enter Cade.
Fie on ambitions. Fie on myself. I have a sword and an infrared yeti red to famish. These 5 days have I hid me in these woods and durst not peep out, for all the country is laid for me. But now am I so hungry that if I might have a lease of my life for 1,000 years, I could stay no longer. Wherefore o'er a brick wall have I climbed into this garden, to see if I can eat grass, or pick a salad another while, which is not amiss to cool man's stomach this hot weather. I think this word salad was born to do me good. For many a time, but for a salad, my brain pan had been cleft for a brown bill. And many a time when I have been dry and bravely marching, that served me instead of a quart pot to drink in. And now the word salad must serve me to feed on.
Enter Iden and his men.
Lord, who would live turmoil in the court, and may enjoy such quiet walks as these? This small inheritance my father left me contenteth me, and worth a monarchy. I seek not to wax great by others' waning, or gather wealth. I care not with what envy. Sufficeth that I have maintains my state, and sends the poor well pleased from my gate.
Here's the lord of the soil come to seize me for a stray, for entering his fee simple without leave. Ah, villain! Thou wilt betray me and get 1,000 crowns of the king by carrying my head to him. But I'll make thee eat iron like an ostrich and swallow my sword like a great pin ere thou and I part.
Why, rude companion, whatsoe'er thou be, I know thee not. Why then should I betray thee? Is't not enough to break into my garden and like a thief to come to rob my grounds, climbing my walls in spite of me, the owner? But thou wilt brave me with these saucy terms?
Brave thee? Aye, by the best blood that ever was broached, and beard thee too. Look on me well. I have eaten no meat these 5 days, yet come thou and thy 5 men, and if I do not leave you all as dead as a doornail, I pray God I may never eat grass more.
Nay, it shall ne'er be said while England stands that Alexander Iden, a squire of Kent, took odds to combat a poor famished man. Oppose thy steadfast gazing eyes to mine. See if thou canst outface me with thy looks, set limb to limb, and thou art far the lesser. Thy hand is but a finger to my fist, thy leg a stick compared with this truncheon. Thy foot shall fight with all the strength thou hast, and if mine arm be heaved in the air, thy grave is digged already in the earth. As for words, whose greatness answers words, let this my sword report what speech forbears.
By my valor, the most complete champion that ever I heard. Steel, if thou turn the edge or cut not out the burly boned clown, in chines of beef ere thou sleep in thy sheath, I beseech God on my knees, thou mayest be turned to hobnails.
They fight, and Cade falls.
Oh, I am slain! Famine, and no other hath slain me. Let 10,000 devils come against me, and give me but the 10 meals I have lost, and I defy them all. wither garden, and be henceforth a burying place to all that do dwell in this house. Because the unconquered soul of Cade is fled.
Is't Cade that I have slain? That monstrous traitor? Sword, I will hallow thee for this thy deed, and hang thee on my tomb when I am dead. Ne'er shall this blood be wiped from thy point, but thou shalt wear it as a herald's coat to emblaze the honor that thy master got.
Aiden, farewell, and be proud of thy victory. Tell Kent from me she hath lost her best man, and exhort all the world to be cowards. For I, that never feared any, am vanquished by famine, not by valor.
He dies.
How much thou wrongest me. Heaven be my judge. Die, damned wretch. Wretch, the curse of her that bare thee. And as I thrust thy body in with my sword, so wish I might thrust thy soul to hell. Hence I will drag thee headlong by the heels unto a dunghill, which shall be thy grave, and there cut off thy most ungracious head, which I will bear in triumph to the king, leaving thy trunk for crows to feed upon.
He exits with his men, dragging Cade's body. End of Act 5. End of Act 4. Act 5, Scene 1. Enter York, wearing the white rose, and his army of Irish with attendants, drum, and colours.
From Ireland thus comes York to claim his right and pluck the crown from feeble Henry's head. Ring bells aloud! Burn bonfires clear and bright to entertain great England's lawful king. Ah, Sancta Magius, who would not buy thee dear? Let them obey that knows not how to rule. This hand was made to handle naught but gold, and I cannot give due action to my words except a sword or sceptre balance it. A sceptre shall it have. Have I a soul on which I'll toss the fleur-de-lis of France?
Enter Buckingham wearing a red rose.
Whom have we here? Buckingham, to disturb me. The king has sent him sure. I must dissemble.
York, if thou meanst well, I greet thee well.
Humphrey of Buckingham, I accept thy greeting. Art thou a messenger or come of pleasure?
A messenger from Henry, our dread liege, to know the reason of these arms in peace, or why thou, being as subject as I am, against thy oath and true allegiance sworn, should raise so great a power without his leave, or dare to bring thy force so near the court.
Scarce can I speak, my choler is so great. Oh, I could hew up rocks and fight with flint, I am so angry at these abject terms. And now, like Ajax Timolenus, on sheep or oxen should I spend my fury. I am far better born than this king, yet more like a king, more kingly in my thoughts. But I must make fair weather yet a while, till Henry be more weak and I more strong. Buckingham, I prithee pardon me, that I have given no answer all this while. My mind was troubled with deep melancholy. The cause why I have brought this army hither is to remove proud Somerset from the king, seditious to his grace and to the state.
That is too much presumption on thy part. But if thy arms be to no other end, the king hath yielded unto thy demand. The Duke of Somerset is in the Tower.
Upon thine honour, is he prisoner?
Upon mine honour, he is prisoner.
Then, Buckingham, do I dismiss my powers? Soldiers, I thank you all. Disperse yourselves. Meet me tomorrow in St. George's Field. You shall have pay and everything you wish. Let my sovereign, virtuous Henry, command my eldest son, nay, all my sons, as pledges of my fealty and love. I'll send them all as willing as I live. Lands, goods, horse, armor, everything I have is his to use. So Somerset may die.
York, I commend this kind submission. We twain will go into his highness' tent.
Enter King Henry and attendant.
Buckingham, doth York intend no harm to us, that thus he marcheth with thee arm in arm?
In all submission and humility, York does present himself unto your highness.
Then what intends these forces thou dost bring?
To heave the traitor Somerset from hence and fight against that monstrous rebel Cade, who since I heard to be discomfited.
Enter Iden with Cade's head.
One so rude and of so mean condition may pass unto the presence of a king. Lo, I present your grace a traitor's head, the head of Cade, whom I in combat slew.
The head of Cade? Great God, how just art thou! Oh, let me view his visage being dead, that living wrought me such exceeding trouble. Tell me, my friend, art thou the man that slew him?
I was, and like your majesty.
How art thou called, and what is thy decree?
Alexander Iden, that's my name, a poor esquire of Kent that loves his king.
So please it you, my lord, 'twere not amiss he were created knight for his good service.
Iden, kneel down. Rise up, knight. We give thee for reward 1,000 marks, and wilt that thou henceforth attend on us.
May Iden live to merit such a bounty, and never live but true unto his liege.
Enter Queen Margaret and Somerset wearing the red rose.
See, Buckingham, Somerset comes with the queen. Go bid her hide him quickly for the duke.
For 1,000 Yorks he shall not hide his head, but boldly stand and front him to his face.
How now? Is Somerset at liberty? Then York, unloose those long imprisoned thoughts, and let thy tongue be equal with thy heart. Shall I endure the sight of Somerset? False king! Why hast thou broken faith with me, knowing how hardly I can brook abuse? King, did I call thee? No, thou art not king. Not fit to govern or rule multitudes, which darest not, nor, no, canst not rule a traitor. That head of thine does not become a crown. Thy hand is made to grasp a palmer's staff and not to grace an awful princely scepter. That gold must round engirt these brows of mine, and whose smile and frown, like to Achilles' spear, is able to charge, to kill and cure. Here is a hand to hold a scepter up, and with the same to act controlling laws. Give place. By heaven, thou shalt rule no more over him whom heaven created for thy ruler.
O monstrous traitor! I arrest thee, York, of capital treason against the king and crown. Obey, audacious traitor. Kneel for grace.
Wouldst have me kneel? First, let me ask of these, if they can brook I bow to a knee to man. Sarah, calling my sons to be my bail. I know ere they will have me go to ward. They'll pawn their swords for my enfranchisement.
Call hither Clifford, bid him come amain, to say if that the bastard boys of York shall be the surety for their traitor father.
Buckingham exits.
Oh, blood-bespotted Neapolitan, outcast of Naples, England's bloody scourge. The sons of York, thy betters in their birth, shall be their father's bale and bane to those that for my surety will refuse the boys.
Enter York's son, Edward, and Richard, wearing the white rose.
See where they come. I'll warrant thou'll make it good.
Enter Clifford and his son, wearing the red rose.
And here comes Clifford to deny their bail.
So, and all happiness to my lord the king.
I thank thee, Clifford. Say what news with thee. Nay, do not fright us with an angry look. We are thy sovereign, Clifford. Kneel again. For thy mistaking so, we pardon thee.
This is my king, York. I do not mistake, but thou mistakes me much to think I do. To Bedlam with him, is the man grown mad?
Clifford, a bedlam and ambitious humor makes him oppose himself against his king.
He is a traitor. Let him to the tower and chop away that factious pate of his.
He is arrested, but will not obey. His sons, he says, shall give their words for him.
Will you not, sons?
Aye, noble father, if our words will serve.
And if our words were not, then all our weapons shall.
Why, what a brood of traitors have we here.
Look in a glass, and call thy image so. I am thy king, and thou a false heart traitor. Call hither to the stake my two brave bears, that with the very shaking of their chains they may astonish these fell-lurking curs. Bid Salisbury and Warwick come to me.
The Earls of Warwick and Salisbury enter, wearing the white rose.
Are these thy bears? We'll bait thy bears to death and manacle the bear herd in their chains, if thou darest bring them to the baiting place.
Oft have I seen a hotter weaning cur run back and bite because he was withheld, who, being suffered with the bear's fell paw, hath clapped his tail between his legs and cried, and such a piece of service will you do if you oppose yourself to match Lord Warwick.
Hence, heap of wrath, foul indigested lump, as crooked in thy manners as thy shape.
Nay, we shall heat you thoroughly anon.
Take heed, lest by your heat you burn yourselves.
Why, Warwick, hath thy knee forgot to bow? Old Salisbury, shame to thy silver hair, thou mad misleader of thy brain-sick son. What? Wilt thou on thy deathbed play the ruffian and seek for sorrow with thy spectacles? Oh, where is faith? Oh, where is loyalty? If it be banished from the fussy head, where shall it find a harbor in the earth? Wilt thou go dig a grave to find out water and shame thy honorable age with blood? Why art thou old and wants experience? Oh, or wherefore dost thou abuse it if thou hast it? For shame! In duty bend thy knee to me, and bow unto the grave with mickle age.
My lord, I have considered with myself the title of the most renowned duke, and in my conscience do repute his grace, that rightful heir to England's royal seat.
Hast thou not sworn allegiance unto me?
I have.
Canst thou dispense with heaven for such an oath?
It is great sin to swear unto a sin, but greater sin to keep a sinful oath. Who can be bound by any solemn vow to do murderous deed, to rob a man, to force a spotless virgin chastity, to reheave the orphan of his patrimony, to rig the widow of her custom right, and have no other reason for this wrong but that he bound by a solemn oath?
A subtle traitor needs no sophister.
Call Buckingham and bid him arm himself.
Call Buckingham, and all the friends thou hast. I am resolved for death or dignity.
The first, I warrant thee, if dreams prove true.
You were best to go to bed and dream again, to keep thee from the tempest of the field.
I am resolved to bear a greater storm than any thou canst conjure up today, and that I'll write upon thy burgonet, might I but know thee by thy house's badge.
Now, by my father's badge, old Neville's crest, the rampant bear chained to the ragged staff, this day I'll wear aloft my burgonet, as on a mountain top the cedar shows that keeps his leaves in spite of any storm, even to affright thee with the view thereof.
And from thy burgonet I'll rend thy bear and tread it under foot with all contempt, despite the bearer that protects the bear.
And so to arms, victorious father, to quell the rebels and their accomplices.
Fie, charity for shame. Speak not in spite, for you shall sup with Jesus Christ tonight.
Thou stigmatic, that's more than thou canst tell.
If not in heaven, you'll surely sup in hell.
They exit separately. Act 5, Scene 2. Enter Warwick, wearing the white rose.
Clifford of Cumberland, 'tis Warwick calls, and if thou dost not hide thee from the bear, now when the angry trumpet sounds alarum and dead men's cries do fill the empty air, Clifford, I say, come forth and fight with me, proud northern lord, Clifford of Cumberland. Warwick is hoarse with calling thee to arms.
Enter York, wearing the white rose.
How now, noble lord? What, all afoot?
The deadly-handed Clifford slew my steed, but match to match I have encountered him, and made a prey for carrion kites and crows, even of the bonny beast he loves so well.
Enter Clifford, wearing the red rose.
One or both of us, the time is come.
Hold, Warwick. Seek thee out some other chase, for I myself must hunt this deer to death.
And nobly, York, 'tis for a crown thou fightest. As I intend, Clifford, to thrive today, grieves my soul to leave thee unassailed.
Warwick exits.
What seest thou in me, York? Why dost thou pause?
With thy brave bearing should I be in love. But that thou art so fast mine enemy?
Nor should thy prowess want praise and esteem, but that 'tis shown ignobly and in treason.
So let it help me now against thy sword, as I in justice and true right express it.
My soul and body on the action both.
A dreadful lay. Address thee instantly.
They fight, and Clifford falls.
La fin couronne les ouvriers.
He dies.
This war hath given thee peace, for thou art still. Peace with his soul, heaven, if it be thy will.
He exits. Enter young Clifford, wearing the red rose.
Shame and confusion, all is on the rout. Fear frames disorder, and disorder wounds where it should guard. O war, thou son of hell, whom angry heavens do make their minister, throw in the frozen bosoms of our part. Hot coals of vengeance, let no soldier fly. He that is truly dedicated to war have no self-love, nor he that loves himself have not essentially but by circumstance the name of valor. Oh, let the vile world end, and the premised flames of the last day knit earth and heaven together. Now let the general trumpet blow his blast, peculiarities and petty sounds to cease. Wast thou ordained, dear father, to lose thy youth in peace, and to achieve the silver livery of advised age? And in thy reverence and thy share days, thus to die in ruffian battle. Even at this sight, my heart is turned to stone, and while 'tis mine, it shall be stony. York not our old men spares, no more will I be their babes. Tears virginals shall be to me even as the dew to fire, and beauty that the tyrant oft reclaims shall to my flaming wrath be oil and flax. Henceforth I will not have to do with pity. Meet I Anne, an infant of the house of York. Into as many goblets I will cut it, as wild Medea young Abyssus did. In cruelty will I seek out my fame.
He takes his father's body onto his back.
Come, thou new ruin of old Clifford's house, as did Asinius old Asinius bear, so bear I thee upon my manly shoulders, but then Asinius bare a living load, nothing so heavy as these woes of mine.
He exits. Enter Richard, wearing the white rose, and Somerset, wearing the red rose. They fight. Richard kills Somerset under the sign of the Castle Inn.
So lie thou there, for underneath an alehouse paltry sign, the castle in St. Albans, Somerset, hath made the wizard famous in his death. Sword, hold thy temper. Heart, be wrathful still. Priests, pray for enemies, but princes, kill.
He exits. Enter King Henry, Queen Margaret, both wearing the red rose, and others.
Away, my lord, you are slow. For shame, away.
We outrun the heavens. Good Margaret, stay.
What are you made of? You'll nor fight nor fly. Now it is manhood, wisdom, and defense to give the enemy way and to secure us but what we can, which can no more but fly. If you'll be ta'en, then we should see the bottom of all our fortunes, but if we haply scrape, as well we may, if not through your neglect, we shall to London get, where you are loved, and where this breach now with our fortunes made may readily be stopped.
Enter young Clifford, wearing the red rose.
But that my heart's on future mischief yet set, I would speak blasphemy ere bid you fly. But fly you must. Uncurable discomfort reigns in the hearts of all our present parts. Away for your relief, and we will live to see their day, and them our fortune give. Away, my lord, away.
They exit. Act 5, Scene 3. All retreat. Enter York, Edward, Richard, Warwick, and soldiers all wearing the white rose.
Of Salisbury, who can report of him, that winter lion who in rage forgets aged contusions and old brush of time, and like a gallant in the brow of youth repairs him with occasion. This happy day is not itself, nor have we won 1 foot, is Salisbury be lost.
My noble father, 3 times today I help him to his horse, 3 times bestrid him. Thrice I let him off, persuaded him from any further act, but still, where danger was, still I there met him. And like rich hangings in a homely house, so what was his will in his old feeble body. But noble as he is, look where he comes.
Enter Salisbury, wearing the white rose.
By the mass, so did we all. Thank you, Richard. God knows how long it is I have to live, and it hath pleased him that 3 times today you have defended me from imminent death. Well, lords, we have not got that which we have. 'Tis not enough our foes are this time fled, the opposites of such repairing nature.
I know our safety is to follow them. For as I hear, the king is fled to London to call the present court of parliament. Let us pursue him ere the writs go forth. What says Lord Warwick? Shall we after them?
After them, nay, before them if we can. Now, by my hands, Lord, 'twas a glorious day. St. Albans battle won by famous York shall be eternized in all age to come. Sound drum and trumpets, and to London all, and many more such days as these to us befall.
End of play. Thank you for joining us for Henry VI, Part 2. A big thanks to our friend, Your Friendly Neighborhood Shakespeare. Visit him at his website, shakespeareapproves.com, or on Facebook at Shakespeare Approves, Your Friendly Neighborhood Shakespeare. We've got links to his content and more in the comments of this video. We'd also like to thank all of the actors who volunteered to read with us tonight. Thank you all so very much for joining us from 4 different continents. No, 3 different continents. 4 different continents tonight. If you enjoyed this reading, all of our past readings are available on our Facebook page and a little better organized on our website, zenithplayers.com. If you want more information on us, including how to be involved in a reading like this one and be one of those faces surrounding me, you can go to our Facebook page, Zenith Players, and send us a message, or send an email to casting@zenithplayers.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. We want to continue to express our support to everyone out there who is working to keep us safe and those continuing to protest and demonstrate. You can join us next Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern for Hedda Gabler, and then 2 weeks from now, we will conclude the story of Henry VI with Part 3. Thank you, and good night.